Okay, now that seems to be working. Jeez. Okay, folks, lesson learned. Do not update your software if it is working right because everything then breaks. Like, oh my god. This is nuts. So assuming my mic wasn't streaming sound a second ago, Lee, good evening, good to see you. And I suppose this also begs another thing, folks. For some reason, I have been getting lots of garbage on my social media in the form of DMs and crap like that. So basically, I've turned off notifications for Facebook and LinkedIn and anything like that. So if stuff comes in, I check it when I check it. And sometimes there can be like multiple day responses. So just be aware, folks, if you send me something that, sorry about that. Okay, man. There is something really broken with OBS tonight. That's crazy. So, been digging through the news for a day or so. Let's grab the screen and get it shared over here. Hope everything doesn't break in the process. Let's see. Okay, microphone seems to be working. That's good. That's full screen. That's shared screen. Sweet. So this is quite common. So this is something that I think doesn't get enough press. Grave robbers raid Inland Empire Cemetery of their flower arrangements. So there's a special type of low-life trash out there, and people do go to cemeteries and raid things. I'm going to kill the decibels just a little bit because I'm redlining. Yeah, the video is going to be super laggy. I, honest to God, don't know what's going on because it's showing me that I'm streaming at the proper rate I'm supposed to, but at this point I'm dropping almost 50% of my frames due to an encoding lag, which I've never had. It's never been this bad of an issue before. So the only thing that I can attribute this to is when I reset up my office yesterday because I started putting my bookcases in. I also redid all my wiring on my computers and stuff. It told me that OBS Studio had a new edition, a new version. So, like a moron, I was like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing ever bad comes from upgrading," and I went ahead and upgraded. And now all of a sudden, I'm like 50% dropping frames and crap. So I don't know if I'm getting throttled by my internet provider or what's going on there, but just in general, this deregulated, no large internet provider sort of stuff here in Texas in these rural areas is crap. Like, there's no Xfinity in my area. You have these little podunk internet providers, and I mean, dude, my internet provider, People's Communication, is basically like that town in Texas that has one blinking yellow light. Like, I can't even set up auto pay on my account because their portal is trash, and every time I try to do it, it just doesn't work. So if I can't make this crap up. It's nuts. And because where my house is located, is such a new area, no one else services it. So right now, that one internet provider is the only internet provider. So they have like a de facto monopoly for the farmland I'm living in. Surveillance footage captured two women at the Elsinore Valley Cemetery loading their vehicle with flowers that visitors leave for their deceased loved ones. Well, I suppose that needed to be said because people, randomly go to cemeteries and just lay flowers for, any other variety of purposes other than to memorialize the dead. This is the second time this month the two thieves were seen stealing several beautiful flower arrangements from the grave sites. A cemetery worker noticed the two from a distance and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Nor could he get into a golf cart and go get some plates, apparently. Cemetery District Manager Stephanie Garcia was notified and was also confused as why anyone would stoop so low. Well, Stephanie, is this your first day on the internet? Come on, man. He told us what was going on, and I said, maybe it's just a fluke, maybe it was family. We don't know everybody that comes into the cemetery. Oh, I don't know. Maybe if they're going to 5 or 6 random graves and taking the flowers off, yeah, of course it's got to be family. It's a very large extended family. Garcia believes the thieves may be stealing the flowers to possibly resell. Possibly. What else do you think they're doing, dude? Of course they're raiding them to resell them and turn them into other arrangements. Like when I was in St. Petersburg, Florida, a funeral director there. That was one of the things that some of the lower class florists did, is they would go to cemeteries at the end of day and they would steal arrangements so they wouldn't have to purchase new flowers. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Like, seriously, people are trash. Cemetery visitor Butch Molina drops off flowers for his deceased parents every Friday as a sign of love, respect, and way to show his gratitude. To be thankful that me and my brother and sister are here. That's why I bring flowers, said Molina. That's sweet. Molina, like many visitors, had no idea the thieves were taking these flowers right off the tombstones of their loved ones. Yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that. Yeah, that's why it's probably a crime. That would be, I think in Florida, I think that would be, that'd be interesting because you're not really defacing the grave. You're right. You're not really defacing the grave. Well, I guess kind of you are, because that'd be interesting. I mean, prosecutors would look at that in the state of Florida and probably try to tie it into one of the third-degree felonies, like disturbing the contents of the grave, defacing a grave, something like that. Then forget the fact that you're looking at a crime in regards to theft, right? Because it's not your property, you're stealing it. When someone places flowers at a cemetery, there are a couple of legal things that are going to pop in there. The first is, one, it is their property and they are putting it on their grave. Every cemetery is going to have a rule, is going to have something in their bylaws or whatever when you buy property that states at some point if you leave flowers, when they become unsightly, they're going to be thrown away. Otherwise, the cemetery couldn't touch the stuff because it's not their property. Disposing of it would result in charges against the cemetery because they're not allowed to throw away, people's property. And by placing your property, your flowers, stuff like that on a grave site, you're not turning over like title to the cemetery. You're retaining the title. You're just simply, I don't even say you're turning over possession, but you're simply placing it there for the benefit of people who visit the grave, as well as the benefit of, I guess, of the person that is in the grave. And when you're doing something like that, it's still going to be theft. Like, you can say, well, it's trash. They left it outside the front curb and I took it. No, this isn't like, their old maggot-ridden sofa with, $50 in pennies. This is something different than that. So, this is pretty trashy. Garcia's also upset to know the thieves would do this during the holidays. Dude, they're criminals. I mean, have you not read a Batman comic? Folks, criminals are criminals. When many come to visit their family and friends, just anger, just frustration, it's hurt. Why would someone do that? Because they're trash. Surveillance footage of thieves was given to Riverside County Sheriff's investigators, and they were asking him with information about the thieves to come forward. It sounds like someone might be pulling some traffic cam video and stuff like that, and I hope they find these clowns and do what they got to do. But now here comes the legal part of this. If the cemetery is now put on notice that people are doing this, okay? So now a couple of things kick in, and this is the teachable moment. If you own a cemetery, if you own a funeral home that has some sort of like outdoor columbarium where people can leave things, here's the teachable moment. The first thing is you are now on notice that someone is doing this crap at your cemetery. So you would have to notify your people that, hey, if you're going to leave flowers, please be advised that, right now we are aware of people that are coming onto the property and are stealing this stuff. So please keep this in mind. The second thing is you got to do something about it. If you're aware that these people are coming onto your property and it's a repeat thing, you need to go ahead and take some steps to try to stop it. You can't just say, yeah, people come on the cemetery and they steal our flowers and that's just tough poopy, huh? So you're looking at at a minimum, probably installing some, ghetto surveillance system from Harbor Freight, or maybe acquiring something a bit more substantial, at least at your entrances, so that you can track who's coming and going. Especially if people are doing this on a repeat basis. Like, you as the business need to take some steps here. It's one thing if someone was coming onto your property and stealing, say, some vaults that you have curing in the open air, or if you have an area where you process your own gravestones, they're stealing your merchandise you haven't sold. That's yours. At this point, they're stealing the property of other people on their grave sites. So a reasonable step you would take would be to try to figure out a way to do some level of surveillance on this. And I mean, you can run down to Home Depot for $300 or $400 and buy yourself some wireless cameras that you could install on your property, different locations. You could hide them. I mean, there's a couple things you could probably get away with doing. So, what triggered me to go ahead and talk about this evening is exactly that something's happening at your business, but you're taking no steps to do it. Now, for those of you who are funeral service graduates, there's not really there's one thing that always comes up in the funeral service law classroom, and that is the duty to invitees and the duties to trespassers when they're on your property, right? When a person is an invitee, they're coming to your business for a legitimate reason. You have a very high standard of care by which you have to take care of that person. So if they trip on a step, if there's a material defect in your building and someone injures themselves as a result of that, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be held liable. It's this whole thing like why stores put down a sign that says wet floors when there's like a torrential monsoon pouring outside. It's to remind people to take a reasonable step that they're not going to like kill themselves coming into the building because, there's a wall of water pouring down from the sky outside. Even trespassers, you have to take precautions to make sure they don't injure themselves. And I forget what it was. I can't remember if even the law book has it in there because I haven't taught law in probably I don't know at this point. No, actually, it's just almost a year because I think I taught law last summer at Miami-Dade. There was a person that broke into a funeral home, and he tripped on this gaping hole in the floor and sued the funeral home for his injuries, and he won. And the reason why he won isn't because of any other reason that this hole just simply was never repaired. Like, it was comical. The funeral home would go out of their way not to fix the hole. During services, they'd have people stand around the hole so no one falls into it, or make sure that the church trucks, fall into the hole, causing a problem. They just never repaired the hole in the floor for, months or even years. I would love to know what the citation for that case is. So if anyone knows what the citation is, drop it in the comments so I can pull it up and make a note of it. So with this sort of thing, something is happening on your premises. People are stealing the property of others on your premises. And what are you going to do about it as the business owner? So don't be surprised if, the cemetery chooses to do nothing and someone gets really pissed off at them, that they're going to turn right around and jump all over their ass and start a lawsuit saying, you needed to take some reasonable steps to stop this. Just notifying the sheriff and say it's not our problem anymore might not be enough to do that. Chad, always good to see Professor Finn getting his work in. Just here to say hi. When listening, pay attention. This man, Diffs 2022. Well, thank you, brother. Congratulations again for, getting out of the school. Lee writes, when did this happen? This was December 2023, I think. December 29, 2023. So just about maybe, week and a half, 2 weeks ago? And someone else was an insomniac because someone updated it on December 30th. The other one I found that I thought was absolute pure glory, and I noticed my skipped frames has dropped down to almost 30%, so it's down by 10%. Hopefully things are sharing better. Man questions China funeral home for charging different cremation prices for luxury furnaces with tailor-made requests. Bro, I would love to be able to charge a luxury surcharge because I have gold gilding or something on the front of my cremation retort. I have a luxury furnace. Funeral home has different queues for ashes based on whether loved ones pay for a nicer furnace. Local government says it's standard procedure for funeral homes to use different furnaces and charge accordingly. Could you folks imagine? Could you literally imagine the absolute shit show that would result as a result of someone diving in on this here in the United States, saying, "Hey, we got two different retorts, and if you get the if you want the McNugget experience, it's standard. But if you want to get the coal fired, it's going to cost you an extra $1,000." Like, what is absolutely going on here, dudes? Oh my God! So let's check this out. Okay, so let's finish reading this article and let's talk about the actual aspect of whether or not this could be legitimately something you could do in the United States, because I can probably see how you could get away with this legally. A funeral home in China offer different prices for their cremation services based on the quality of their furnaces they use during the burial process, sparking controversy in China. Using furnaces for your burial processes. Is that kind of like, I don't know, using a football to dig a grave? Well, whatever. An unidentified man in Hebei, or Hebei province in northern China shared. So if I butcher something in Chinese, folks, that's not meant for me to be culturally insensitive. It's just I have very little knowledge of how Chinese pronunciation works. So I would probably say that's probably like a Hebei. Province in northern China shared a video on December 19th exposing a local funeral home that designated separate queues for collecting ashes, depending on whether they come from a high-end or a low-end furnace. Dude, I can't even read this without laughing. It's like, who the hell's making your furnaces? Oh my God, Hyundai versus Aston Martin? Bruh. Oh my God. The area for collecting ashes from the low-end furnace is over there, and the high-end furnace is this way. It's not even a different oven. It's just a different hole in the retort. Oh my God. Do we really need to differentiate between high-end and low-end even for cremation services, he asked. Well, clearly if it's culturally appropriate, bud. That's a thing they do. I love how I buy something and it becomes my targeted media after I buy it. So I got Foxit PDF to replace Adobe. A funeral home staff member told Holang Video, ordinary furnaces are simpler in structure, while high-end ones are more luxurious and tailor the specific needs of the relatives, thus we charge more. Okay, now, I gotta call absolute bullshit on that. Come on, man. Luxurious tailor the specific needs of the relatives? What do they need? It's all 1,600 to 1,800 degrees, bruh. Whatever. So I suppose we have some different cremation units here. These are probably mainstream for Asia. I don't know of a single U.S. manufacturer, not U.S. Cremations, not B&L, not Matthews, none of those folks, to do something like over here on the far right with the pull-out pizza oven model. That's just not something we do. Everything's kind of sort of what you see in the middle. Far left, it looks interesting. I don't know what that is at the top. Is that supposed to be an exhaust vent or something? I don't know. Unless there's something. Is that supposed to be a fume hood or something? Because it's not combusting outside of the unit, man. It's combusting inside. But whatever. The employee added that separate classification cremation services are common across China. For local residents, cremation in a low-grade furnace is free. Oh, hey. That's a word we love here in the United States when it comes to anything to do with funerals. Free. While non-residents are charged $251, which is $35. Looks like you're not going to be buying God of War 4 on sale. High-grade furnaces fees also vary, with non-residents paying 800 won, $110 for cremation. Dude, they're paying $110 for high-end cremation in China. $110. So you know what this means. There's an untapped market here where you can go ahead and order your cremation on Temu and send your loved one to China and wait 95 years to get it back, or it gets lost in customs on the way back or something. Oh my God. $110, folks. I can tell you in the United States that doesn't even pay for the gas. Legit. That probably doesn't even pay for the gas that the funeral home uses to actually perform the cremation. So I don't think we're ever going to get it that cheap. Let's see what we got. So chat's popping up here. Hey, Dr. Finn, congrats on the new position. I'm licensed now. It's Adam, dude, bro, how the hell are you, man? Hey, congratulations. That's awesome. Glad to hear you got the license. You worked hard for it, dude. The first one looks like it's from Minecraft. No shit, right? Dude, oh my god, that would be amazing. Could you imagine that, you have to do your cremations during the day because if you try to do it at night, the mobs swarm you? Oh my god, that'd be awesome. Like you're just sitting there mourning your mom, your dad, or something, and all of a sudden something walks up behind you and explodes and knocks like, a 2-foot hole in the ground, and then you lose your diamond pickaxe. I still haven't picked Minecraft back up. Good, funny story there. That I used to, so Minecraft was the game I would play on my Switch when I was traveling or bored or whatever. That would be like, that was the Switch game for me. And I managed to tame 2 dogs, like 2 wolves, and I named them after my dogs in Miami, Fritz and Mimi. And Fritz jumped it because, it's Minecraft, so you have like lava streams and crap in your home and whatnot, so you can do your crafting. And I couldn't find the dog, and I realized he jumped into one of the lava pits and died. I turned the game off. I never turned it back on. I was so pissed. I started playing Minecraft Legends on the Xbox, but I was just like, it's not the same. Just not the same. An official from the District Bureaus of Civil Affairs confirmed that the practice aligns with long-standing regulations. Some low-grade furnaces might not fully cremate... Bro! Some low-grade furnaces might not even fully cremate remains, potentially requiring families to crush the bones personally even... Oh, come on. That's not the same, dude. Like... Oh, my God. Like, such a... Oh, my God. It's cremated if there's nothing chunky on it, okay? Let's make sure we get this out to everyone, make this go viral. The cremation has done its job if there is no organic material other than bones and ash left. Like in every cremation known to man, you're going to have to pulverize the bones and remove, the non-organic materials like nails and staples, like whatever, the non-combustible materials, that's the word I'm looking for, the term I'm looking for. You're going to have to remove that in like every procedure. Come on. I was thinking like, dude, they don't even get this thing up to 1600. Like, what are you doing here? You're going to roast grandma and also put the pizza on top of her or something? What the hell is going on here? Potentially requiring families to crush the bones personally, even causing families to inadvertently collect the ashes of others. Are they legit putting, like, more than one body in the same retort or something? Like... That's crazy. I guess they have to sweep out the retorts on their own when they're done. Like, is that part of their cultural duty towards the dead, is when they're done, they have to go ahead and start picking through? Because if you see documentaries or videos of cremation in India... Like, once the body's placed on the pyre and it cools down, it's not uncommon for the family to go through after the fire's done to find the pearls and stuff like that and take bones and whatnot. So maybe that's something that goes on over there. I don't know. If anyone who listens to this is like familiar with Chinese cremation, feel free to like drop like a video link or a documentary or something in the comments so I can like look up on that, because I'm not that well versed on... clearly well-versed on what happens over there. One person online shared, I heard in lower-grade furnaces to save time, several bodies are cremated together, and it's hard to tell whether the ashes you get are actually from your family member. In high-grade furnaces, each body is cremated individually. So we know in the United States that that's like illegal in every one of our states, that you cannot cremate a body with someone else without the permission of both parties. So those of you in mortuary school and those of you licensed who need a refresher, you are able, under U.S. laws and just about any state that I've heard of, to cremate more than one body, providing that you have received authorization to do so from all the parties involved. Otherwise, if you had a really bad accident and a family dies and, you've got the mom and the kids are both dead, you could put mom and the kids in at the same time and do the cremation all at once, providing the husband, father signs off on all of that. If you want to do like 2 strangers, again, you could do that if you got the authorizations, but that's like really uncommon. After cremation, families are shown the complete skeleton before it's boxed, starting from the feet up. Huh. They're a lot more hands-on than we are in the U.S. in regards to cremation. I mean... Some family don't even go to like witness ID it. So they come in, they make an arrangement, they show up and they get a, little black plastic container that's been taped shut, because that's like really classy. However, this really has led to various reactions online. One person, even in death, we can't achieve equality. Dude, it's communist China. Like, any of you wearing like any sort of communist logos, this is what you want. This is legit bullshit what you want. Like, this is what you're asking for. Oh, God. Hey, for the rest of us peasants, we are now in the presence of royalty. Hello, Ms. Hill. How are you? Nice to see you. Even on the way to paradise, there's a different starting line. Truly the rat race, even in death. It's like, yeah. I mean, my God. I guess this shouldn't surprise anyone in mortuary school, because we know you go all the way back to ancient Egypt, or if you played even like Assassin's Creed Origins, there's different levels of embalming depending on what you can afford. I mean, there's a reason why you go to buy a car. There's the base model, the XLE, the Touring, the Limited, whatever the hell that's out there. Oh my God. That is so nuts. So my analytics are down. Like right now, YouTube is telling me I only have like one live viewer, and clearly I have at least two. So there might be more people out there. So, oh my God, that's just nuts. Let's see something fun. Let's see what made the headlines last couple of days. It's for funeral home lawsuit. This is always a fun one. That's too old. That's way too old. There we go. Let's do the 1 day ago one. That sounds like good times. Not for the funeral home, of course, but, hey. If it wasn't for people doing dumb things, I would have less things to talk about on my channel. Manalapan funeral home that buried Lakewood woman in wrong cemetery fights lawsuit. Oh, so this one's a little bit different. Let's see what happened here. Oh my God, this has gone doing awesome. It says 5. Cool. So I got like 5 people that absolutely have nothing to watch on Netflix tonight. Just so you folks know, I'm sacrificing my Netflix time so I can be with you folks. Like, I started watching, I think, Fool Me Once, or I think is what it's called. It's some thriller on Netflix. I got to admit, I'm fairly into that. Thank God for, like, the British stuff that Netflix licenses brings over, because, dude, British people have, like, so much better, like, television programming. Some of the Swedish stuff ain't bad either. As about 60 of Janet Kay's loved ones gathered at Mount Sinai Cemetery in Marlborough for the 82-year-old Lakewood woman's burial in October 2020, became apparent something was terribly wrong. Oh, my God. First, there was a prolonged delay. This is why you follow the hearse. Then the funeral director started asking the 85-year-old widower questions that indicated the body of his late wife had been lost. The what? Oh, my God. Turned out the woman had about to be buried in Kay's grave was not Kay, but was wearing Kay's clothing, jewelry, and wedding ring. That's the moment he realized he done effed up. I would not go in there at night while somebody has problems with the dead. Nothing like, Bruce Campbell and a sawed-off shotgun can't solve. Upon that revelation, some of Kay's relatives screened one nonagenarian. Oh, come on. Really? You can't just say... Okay, I'm glad I don't have, 10,000 people doing this. I would legitimately do a poll and ask, how many of you know what the nonagenarian is? Oh my God. One nonagenarian almost fainted. Well, be glad they didn't, because if they would have fallen and hurt themselves, that'd be even more on the lawsuit. And the service was held without the decedent's body. That's a hell of an oopsie. So it is exactly what we thought it was. Body misidentification. I just thought that the hearse got lost or some crap. Like the way this opened, that's the lead up. That was going to be the plot spoiler. Meanwhile, Kay had been buried 2 days earlier in the wrong cemetery, wearing another woman's clothes, jewelry, wedding it next to a man she did not know. Well, legit. At least it wasn't a same-sex marriage, I suppose, right? That would be God, those are things we have to worry about in our modern environment. That for a person that was married to their husband for like 80 years and then gets, let's say they're like fundamentalist Christian or something like that, and then they get placed into something that they are religiously opposed to. So they get placed like next to another woman because they're mistaken as a spouse. I'm going to wonder how that's going to pan out in court when people sue, if that's going to be like some mitigating factor that they really hammer the funeral home for when it comes to trying to prove like egregiousness or malicious or like just wanton carelessness, stuff like that. Right now, there's some attorneys going, oh yeah, gonna get that, snap it to a Slim Jim. Rest in peace, Macho Man. Meanwhile, yep, we did that. Now the funeral home that botched the arrangements. So they use nonagenarian, but then they use the word botched. Like, be consistent, bro. Was that the word of the day on your app? Manalapan-based Bloomfield Cooper Jewish Chapels is seeking to dismiss the lawsuit filed by the deceased widower. The media loves it, right? The media loves it when you misidentify a body, screw something up, and then you try to say, yeah, bro, not our fault. Let's check this out. State Superior Court Judge Mara Zazzali Hogan. Like, if that's Italian, that double Z is a TSZ sort of sound. If it's not, it's anglicized, and we're looking at Zazzali Hogan sitting in Superior Court in Freehold last year refused to throw out the suit. I don't know, maybe because the judge knows what she's talking about and the attorney's pulling at straws. But a panel of appellate judges on Tuesday reversed her decision and sent the case back to a lower court judge to examine the circumstances under which the plaintiff, Leroy K., signed a document agreeing to forego a lawsuit and instead settling claims against... Oh, death by arbitration. Oh, man. These damn arbitration clauses. Let me tell you what. There's going to be something that comes out of this. This is probably going to be one of these cases that gets referenced going forward. So let's talk about what happened here, okay? So let's catch you up. You go in to make arrangements, right? You sit down under federal law. You get your disclosures, you get your statement of goods and services at the end, and you sign your funeral contract. So depending on what state you're in, the funeral contract is either a separate form you're going to sign, or it actually is the statement of goods and services. Again, this comes down to the jurisdiction that you're living in. The state of Florida, the contract is basically looked at as the statement of goods and services that the funeral director and the person authorizing the funeral services sign. In other jurisdictions, you have a situation where there's a statement of goods and services, but all that is basically a receipt. And then you actually have to have a funeral contract that everyone has to sign. So in this state, what they did is in the funeral contract somewhere, they have a clause that says that in the event of any errors or problems, the family agrees to go through arbitration rather than a lawsuit. And it is a long-standing legal precedent that if you sign one of these arbitration clauses, you are going to have to go through arbitration in the majority of cases that are presented before you can initiate a lawsuit. So you have to do arbitration in good faith. And what that does is it wastes your money, it wastes your time. It's a great way to kind of force the issue because it can be tied up in arbitration hell. Okay, you get lost in purgatory is what happens here. So they signed this. And what happened, okay, so I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the judge because I'm an idiot. So I don't want to belittle her with my lack of intelligence, but I can probably see where she went with this thought, which is forcing an arbitration clause is probably not something that is permissible when it comes to a funeral arrangement because the long-term precedent is it's a lawsuit. Like, we don't haggle over arbitration on things that involve dead bodies. And what the panel of appellate judges said is, hey, we have to look at this as if this is legitimate. Like, there's nothing that said that there is no case on the docket right now that says this is whether arbitration can or cannot be. So it's like the judge is basically, yeah, you came up with something novel, good try. No, this done. And they appealed it and said, no, we absolutely need to, go through arbitration. What do you appellate judges think? And the appellate judges say, well, we need to explore that, whether or not steps have to be taken with arbitration first. So this is going to be one of these ones to watch, and don't be surprised if this makes its way into one of the new legal textbooks. Promise you that, because I've never heard of an arbitration clause being forced on a family. And if this works, I promise you, that's going to spread like wildfire, because now funeral homes can force arbitration rather than having to engage engage an attorney and go immediately into lawsuit mode. So of course they're going to go with a cheaper arbitrator. Like, holy crap. So honest to God, what this funeral home did was quite brilliant. Like, it's really smart from the perspective of the funeral home. You can't sue us until you go to arbitration. Hey, tough shit, you signed it. That's what's going on here. So now this leads to something else, okay? So we've talked about why this is good for their part. So now this comes to another thing. Are you explaining your contract? Okay, are you explaining the contract that they lose the right to sue until they pursue arbitration? Because what happens at the majority of funeral homes? You slide it across the table, sign here, sign here, sign here, have a nice day, and you're done. So I know for a fact that that's probably going to come up in the discussion here, because people aren't in their right minds when they make these contracts, which is why you want to explain what is going on implicitly so that they get the most knowledge that they can, and it is explained to them in the plainest language possible. People don't really like it when funeral homes take advantage of families. So, this thing might die quick, and they just say, no, this isn't going to be used as a tool whereby people can be just absolutely abused by the system. By forcing arbitration before they can, actually take any legal steps. The mortuary service claims Leroy K. signed a contract for the funeral services on October 4th, 2020. Bro, when did this thing go down? It's taken 4 years. 4 years. That's nuts. The mortuary service claims Leroy K. signed a contract for the funeral services on October 4th, 2020, a day after his wife's death and 2 days before the mix-up became apparent. The contract contained a provision that any dispute would be settled through arbitration. K, meanwhile, had asserted he didn't sign anything until October 8th, 2020, after his wife's partially decomposed body was exhumed from the wrong grave in North Jersey and reinterred in Mount Sinai Cemetery in Marlboro. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Like, I'm not saying the New Jersey funeral director didn't screw this guy, but even bad funeral homes know to get something signed. Like, that would be really, really off, that they would get zero documentation until, 4 days after the person is buried. I said he entered into a verbal agreement for services with the funeral director on October 4th. Oops. That's a violation of federal law, right? So let's explore that. Let's explore that. You tell a funeral home, let's go ahead and dispose of the body, need it done within, let's say 24 hours. You can't make it to the funeral home. You don't send any paperwork, and they perform the services. Is it enforceable? That's the magic question here. I'm telling you that I don't know how that would roll out. Like, the Federal Trade Commission funeral rule does not state that you have to have completed all that paperwork prior to the disposition, to my knowledge. It just says that you have to complete it at the face-to-face meeting, and we take for granted that we always have the meeting prior to the disposition. And this isn't cremation, right? This isn't cremation where we have to get explicit permission to dispose of the body, to destroy the body. We don't even need a death certificate in many cases to dispose of the body with a burial, right? It comes in, we sign up they come in, They sign our paperwork. If there's any delay with the death certificate, if the medical examiner says, or your coroner says, hey, we're not going to get involved. We see no reason. This is natural death, etc. Funeral homes will absolutely go ahead and perform the disposition of burial or entombment, because if you want the body, you can go get it later if there's an issue. So this brings up an interesting concept. Like, if you did this on a verbal, could you get away with it? You know what we need to do? Let's break out our little friend. You know what? I'm not going to do it via internet. I'm going to do it over here, because I think I have the complying with the FTC funeral guide here with my other textbooks. Like, how long have I not been teaching at this point? And I still have all my textbooks like on my desktop. Like, I still go in there and look at stuff now and then, because I'm a schmuck. Let's see. We want to do this as a list. There we go. Like, I know in school. Do I not have... Dude, I don't have it because I always download it. That's trash. Okay. Let's pull it up. Complying with the... Roll that beautiful bean footage. Okay, here it is. Like, I know everyone's going to jump on the chat bang one and say, oh, yeah, you have to get all the paperwork signed prior to disposition. I don't think I've ever stated that in any of my legal lectures. It's always, you have to get it signed at the arrangement conference, and we take for granted that happens, right? We take for granted it happens before the disposition. So let's do a search for that's compliance. That's not going to talk about it. When should the GPL be offered? So in this entire in the entire 48-page compliance guide, the word dispose, D-I-S-P-O-S, only appears 7 times. So this is not going to be a long search. So you have to offer the GPL at the face-to-face meeting, wherever it occurs, before you can talk about all the nuts and bolts of it. So this is what I love. This is what I love when people tell me I don't know shit. This is the Federal Trade Commission saying it. The triggering event for the giving out the GPL is a face-to-face meeting. The face-to-face meeting can occur anywhere, not just at the funeral home. And apparently when, I read the word anywhere, I think of, I don't know, anywhere. And other people think of the funeral home. For example, you must give out a general price list even if the discussion of prices or arrangements takes place in the family's home or while removing the deceased from a hospital or a nursing home. You should tell employees to carry extra price lists with them. You are not required to offer a general price list if you remove the deceased for transportation to the funeral home, and at the time you only request authorization to embalm. So here's the fun part, right? This is what some of the people get hung up on, is what if you use a third-party service, use a removal service to do the removal, and they start inquiring about prices. And I tell you folks, make sure your removal services have the damn GPLs on hand, because that is your agent. It might not be your employee, but it is your agent. So should the FTC want to go after this, they would need to define what they mean by the word employee. Does it mean any person performing that act on behalf of the funeral home, or a person legitimately employed as an employee and not maybe an at-will removal service? So I've always said err on the side of caution. Make sure everyone has your stuff. Let's see. Let's get back to... Dude, that's it? No, it can't be. Bink. Okay. Cost information. All right. All right, here it is. Here's the suck it clause. If a consumer makes all funeral arrangements by telephone, you should make a reasonable attempt to give a completed statement to the consumer before a final disposition of the remains occurs. That means you don't have to have it signed. If the consumer does not visit the funeral home in person before the final disposition, you should still give or send a completed statement to the consumer as soon as possible. There it is. That's not Professor Finn. That is the Federal Trade Commission, the sweetest smelling Federal Trade Commission in the world. So you do not have to hand and have signed a statement of goods and services ahead of time, or a funeral. So I wonder how that applies to the contract, right? Because the contract is different. Let's see if we can find that. Let's do this. Okay, 16. Nope. 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 So this does not cover. Everything here for contract seems to be pre-need. Now, let me be clear. I am not saying that your state, okay, I am not saying that your state does not require you, okay? I am not saying that your state does not require you to get this signed prior to disposition. I am saying that the federal government does not require you to have a signed statement of goods and services prior to disposition. Period. Chandra Strange, hi, how are you? Waving back, howdy, howdy. Sorry. So, folks, in OBS Studio, when I go and I look at something and I'm doing something in another window, it hides all of the windows. It hides the chat. It hides everything. So if you pop something up there, just understand I'll get to you when I get to you. So Lee writes, do you know if the case of the man falling through the hole in the floor is in the red mortuary law book? I looked and I can't find it. No, it is not. That's the issue. If it was in there, I would have absolutely added that to my citation. But it is the core of the concept injury to trespassers. So if we go into mortuary law by Gilligan, which, what a surprise, I have that right here. Let's pop that up. Let's see where it drops it. There we go. All right. So this is mortuary law by I think it's Thomas Gilligan. He is now retired. He was the general counsel for the National Funeral Directors Association. Really, I mean, this guy's about is in the top like 10 of people in the United States who know about funeral law. So there's the injury to invitees. Okay, there's the porch. Pallbearers and clergy. Where is the trespasser? Let me just do a search for trespasser. Because I know I teach this in the lectures. There it is. Second paragraph of injury to invitees. The degree of duty of care a landowner owes to a person on the landowner's property depends on the status of the person. A high degree of care is owed to one who has been invited. On the other hand, a trespasser is owed a very little degree of care. So that is the root of you do owe people a certain level of care, and you really should fix all of your problems. Let's see. Burglar, funeral home, sued, ankle. I believe he twisted his ankle. That's not it. Whoops. Showing off my 1% spelling skills here. You know what? I wonder if it is in one of my law books. And the problem is, like, I got my law books on the shelf back here, but it's like old school. So I wouldn't be able just to like do a search. I'd have to go page by page, and I'm sure as hell not going to do that. Sorry. I don't love NEL enough to do that anymore. So here's what it's based off of. So thank you to the Doan Law Firm, PLLC. I think they're here in Texas somewhere. If there is a dangerous situation that could pose harm to those who come onto the property and the property owners know about the hazard but do not remedy the situation, they could be held liable for any injuries, even to trespassers. If property owners are aware of risks in their own property, to take action to correct the hazard, post visible warning signs for everyone. One example of gross injury in Texas court revolves around State versus Shoemake. That's a state park. That's not what we're interested in. Let's see if he does any other citations here. Yep, nope, not really. So I'm going to dive off their website because, they didn't give me the authorization to go there and look at it, but they shouldn't post their crap on the internet if it doesn't want to pop up in a web search. So that's what it stems from, is the fact that these folks knew about this hole, and it had been there for like months. And during daytime services, again, they would post employees around the hole so no one would fall in. And then they would make sure that, none of the wheels get caught or something. They let this thing go for just, forever. And then someone broke in one night and in the darkness fell into the hole and hurt themselves. Well, then they get arrested. Because obviously if you, sprain or break your ankle, you're probably going to have a hard time getting away when the alarm starts going off. And they end up suing the funeral home for their injury because, they can get lawyers too. And the lawyer said, hey, wait a second, this hole has been here forever, and you literally took no steps to try to fix it? And then this person hurts themselves? This goes back to, Liebig versus McDonald's, which is the whole coffee in the crotch case, which I've talked about at length. It is the case that established corporate bullying in the media to paint a picture of the defendant, or in this case the plaintiff, as an idiot, in which corporations have run with ever since. Sway them in the court of social media and media in general, and watch the hysterics occur. McDonald's knew that their shit could cause serious deformity and still did it anyways, with complete wanton disregard for the harm that could cause. And that's basically what happened here. So this guy asserts he didn't sign anything to October 8th. It is very possible that could be the case. Isn't that crazy? It blows all of our minds from practice because we just understand you get this damn thing signed ahead of time so that, you have something to fall back on if someone says, well, no, I didn't authorize that. Yeah, you did. And I explained it to you. He said he entered case certified on October 8, 2020. He signed what he believed to be an invoice presented to him by one of the funeral directors who claimed that it needed to be signed so the funeral home could pick up the bill. That's going to come up in arbitration. Making a fraudulent or misrepresenting statement. Yeah, okay. Plaintiff asserted he signed the contract on a podium placed in front of him in the mausoleum following his wife's funeral service after having seen his wife's partially decomposed body. That sucks. Sally Hogan held a hearing in March on the validity of the arbitration agreement. I told you. Is it valid that we have an arbitration agreement hidden in one of these contracts? Now, here's where the due diligence comes in, okay? So if I was this person's attorney, disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I'm not licensed to practice law. I would rather die before I practice law. If I was the attorney, I would absolutely request contracts up to a year prior to when this happened for the sole reason to compare their contract, right? Because what could happen in this situation? You know your ass is going to get sued. You know it. You've earned it because you're a dumbass. And so what do? You bury an arbitration clause into your contract, then have the husband sign it at the cemetery, and now you go, aha, look, aha, I got an arbitration clause. You signed it. We got to go to arbitration. And then I pull your other contracts up to a year ago. You don't have an arbitration clause in there. And now what did I just prove? You did that with malicious intent. You did that with the whole concept to defraud this person of their normal routes. You didn't put this in there because you were smart, like Professor Finn thought, and hey, this is a great way to circumvent a lawsuit. You did it knowing you were going to get sued, then added it in after the fact, and have not done that with anybody else. So that shows a lot of bad faith right there if that turns out to be the case. And, if that attorney watches, hey, man, take a shot at it. You might be surprised what you find, brother. Or sister, or non-binary, I don't know, them. Lawyers for the plaintiff argued the arbitration provision in the contract was unenforceable because it was presented him simply as an invoice acknowledging receipt of funeral services. Uh-oh. Attorneys are good at this. This is why I absolutely would love to teach law, but don't want to practice it. I would love to argue the tit and tat of this all day. I just don't want to get into the guts of it. I'm just not interested. Does an invoice constitute a contract? Right? It shows that one happened, but does the contract basically arise under not from a written instrument, but by action of the parties? Remember, that's one of the things that forms a contractual relationship, is you don't even have to have a piece of writing to consolidate it, although you're stupid if you're not, because everyone tells you reduce your contracts to writing. The four corners, put it on the damn page, please. And whatever's on the page, the four corners rule, that's the contract. You're going to go bury my wife, right? Yep. I'll see you Saturday. You show up on Saturday, they bury his wife. Contract is completed because performance. Right? Here's the invoice. Does that constitute the contract? No. And honest to God, this does not take a lot of legal theory to figure out why. So here's the questions. What is the status of a contract? Where are you in the overall performance of the contract? If you're in the initial negotiation, you do not have a contract. If you've come to an agreement, right? If you've come to an agreement, you're in that pending zone, especially if you haven't transferred any consideration. So if you've asked to do something, someone has basically tacitly said, yeah, I'm going to do it. You're in this really bad area where, okay, you might have agreement, but you might not. But the moment you have the performance, the moment you actually do what you said or you showed up ready to work, you're now executing the contract, right? You are performing it. You're executing the contract. And then what happened when you closed the grave? You closed the mausoleum. You've performed the contract. It has now been executed. It is complete. The contract is not based on a piece of paper. It is based on the actions. So if you present an invoice at that time and a person signs that, yes, I am responsible for these charges, the legal question is that a contract? My argument would be, hell no, because the contract has already been completed. And a piece of paper showing the charges is exactly that. And if your ass puts an arbitration clause on a receipt after the actions have been completed, legally insufficient in my opinion. But again, I'm not an attorney. What the hell do I know? And I just bought gluten-free Oreos the other day, so I'm already breaking the moral law. Legit, I didn't even know they had gluten-free Oreos. And I was going through an Aldi's. And I'm like, what the hell is this shit? And I'm like, okay, I gotta try these just to try gluten-free Oreos. I still haven't opened that, by the way. Like, I bought them last night and I still haven't tried one. So, the fat man is showing some serious restraint here because I love Oreos. I'll make sure I have them with my cashew milk and not the 2%, just so I could have like the full the full experience. Says Ellie Hogan found the agreement unenforceable on the basis of unconscionability. Okay, so there's error number one. She found it on the premise of unconscionability, which means that you are enforcing this and it is beyond all reasoning that you would put this in this type of a thing, which, she passed law school, she passed the bar, she got on the bench. I don't want to say she doesn't know what she's talking about, but that's a bit questionable. Like, unconscionable? No. I think it would have been a lot more legally sound if you would have gone my way and said, hey, the contract's already been executed. You can't force a contract in writing after it's been done. Like, then you're just basically providing a written summary. She said the plaintiff's age, which could be construed as a sophisticated business term, the bargaining tax, and the setting in which the agreement was signed were factors in her decision. Legal armchair quarterbacking, legal backseat driving here. I don't know about that. Because so here's the problem. Okay, here's where I'm going to call out the judge that no. You don't want to draw a line where it says a person's age factors in unconscionability. Like, that's also quite like at the same level that also opens up a door you can question competency. Just because a person is 96, then they can't do it. And how old was Mr. K? Did they even state how old Mr. K is? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say how old he is. Oh, 85 years old. He's an 85-year-old widower. So the problem is, my dad at 85, 10 years ago, because he's like, let's see, what is he now? So he's 93 right now. So let's say 8 years ago, 9 years ago, no issue. Like, no issue whatsoever. Right now, clear issue. But we already know that because he's suffering from, like, dementia. He lives in his own reality at this point. So you can't just say, hey, it's unconscionable because he's 85. Like, you're doing it to the concept she's getting is like you're doing it to an old person, so it's like super bad. I don't know about that. Like, she's probably not unwarranted in thinking like that because we generally view crimes against elderly as particularly heinous. But just the fact that he's 85, he has to sign a contract. No, dude. Like, it'd be a stronger argument to say that was messing with his competency at the moment than it would be to say that his age factors into it. The setting where the agreement was signed. Not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, again, that's pretty weak because what you're saying is if you sign a contract in a setting like this, that it's bad. And, maybe she's right about that. Maybe if you're going to sign a contract or a statement of goods or something at the funeral, that should be taken into consideration. I don't think so. I think that's pretty weak because it is such a general practice that people sign documents at funerals to then say that, hey, any practice of doing this is unconscionable. That's dangerous, man. So this kind of tells me that, nope, I'm not seeing it. Bargaining tactics, absolutely. Like, using the funeral is a pretty shitty idea. I'll back her up 100% on that. But the other two things, no. And then when you're looking at that from, like, a legal perspective to say that, hey, it's unconscionable because of the bargaining tactics, well, what did they use? He just walked up, presented, and said, hey, you need to sign this? That's not a bargaining tactic. Like, he can just say, yeah, no, I'm not. Suck it. He can still do that. I don't know, man. Like, I'm thinking the appellate court was probably justified in saying, hey, get us some better reasons. Legitimately. And last but not least, it would not be in the public interest to enforce an arbitration clause under these circumstances. So the problem becomes, hey man, you've got. I'm not saying that that this is crap law. Okay, I'm not saying that there can't be legal reasons why she's right here. I'm saying that these are probably very weak reasons, and the fact that the appellate judges are basically tacitly agreeing with my interpretation of this, probably there's something more there. So I could probably try to find the court filings and the judgments on this if they even publish something, but I'm willing to bet the appellate court's just saying, no, find us something better than this. Like, we're not opposed to this. We probably even agree with that last statement that is not in the public interest to enforce arbitration clauses on people, but find a better reason legally to do it. And certainly a better reason would be you can't sign a contract after you've already completed it. Like, the written contract would hold no bearing. It's not a contract. It's not even a statement of a contract. You've already done it. It's like you might just put it on your Facebook status and say you did it and be done with it. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I think that's trash. The appellate judges, however, said further fact-finding into the circumstances of which case signed the agreement is needed. Yeah. In reaching our conclusion, we recognize that generally defendants do not dispute the circumstances leading to the agreement's execution, including the fact that the agreement was presented as an invoice for services already performed, as well as the horrendous series of events leading to the Janet's final funeral service at Mount Sinai Cemetery. Kay's lawsuit seeks unspecified damages. It's got to at least be a couple $100,000. Like, they're smelling insurance policy. It alleges loss of the rights to have decedent laid to rest with dignity, breach of contract, violation of the Consumer Fraud Act. That's a fun one. Negligence and negligent intentional infliction of emotional distress. Not unintentional infliction, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Woohoo! So, right? And then the judge tried saying it was unconscionable for them to do what they did, which basically opens the door that unconscionable is beyond all bounds tolerated by society. So if that is found to be true, then they've pretty much got a gimme with the intentional infliction of emotional distress, because that funeral director has acted in a way that exceeds all bounds tolerated by society. And certainly an argument can be made that, especially if you gimmicked the contract, where you added an arbitration clause to protect your ass and you don't have arbitration clauses on something else, I don't think you're going to find too many judges, and probably no damn juries, they're going to view that as a reasonable act on behalf of the funeral director. They're going to absolutely view that as military-grade horseshit and say, yeah, that is beyond all bounds tolerated by society, that not only did you not get a contract signed ahead of time, but when you finally did get something that would represent the contract as it was to be performed, you then added additional terms you've never added into other contracts in an attempt to cover what you knew was a material error in what you did. So, they could bury themselves. Yeah, I don't know enough about the laws in New Jersey. But just our general principles of laws, this will be a fun one to watch. Like, I would be interested to see how they come out with this. If they flat out determine if arbitration clauses do not belong in funeral contracts at all, or if they find, like what I was just talking about, where they added that arbitration clause after the fact and decided to trash the world, trash this dude's world, just to try to get away with being slick. Like, this is what destroys our reputation. Like, this is what does us dirty, is when people do stuff like this. Like, ultimately, let's look at this from you probably shouldn't have passed mortuary school and gotten a license to practice viewpoint. What did you do? You screwed up the most basic, the most talked about thing that we discuss in mortuary school, which is properly identify and track your bodies. Like, come on, man. This entire thing could have been avoided if you simply would have properly identified and tracked your bodies. And above all else, have the people witness. I mean, if you're paying for a dressing, you might as well have them come in and do an ID before you dispose of the body. I mean, that eliminates all of it right there. At least, you're cutting your losses if that were to happen, folks. Okay, you're cutting your losses because you're going to identify the body's the wrong body while they're at the funeral home. You're still going to get spanked, right? You're still going to get spanked over this. But at least you didn't have to exhume the body and then have to confirm a partially decomposing body is, yeah, that one is actually my wife. Like, so what that you're giving away the funeral at that point? That's nuts, man. Wow, I feel bad for this guy. Like, oof. Just oof. So in other news, with this whole thing going on in Colorado, I forget who it was, but the rulemakers, so probably the administrative agency that governs the Colorado funeral industry. So remember, Colorado doesn't have personal licenses, they only have business licenses. So the people that regulate those business licenses have recommended to the Colorado legislators that they need to have licensing laws, which is a significant step. Like if your administrators are saying, yeah, we better put this back on the books, that's fairly certain the legislators are gonna act on that and give them exactly what they want. Above all else, state of Colorado, it gives you an excuse to charge a fee and make some money. Like, come on, man, get with it. All right, we're going to look at this one. Missouri funeral home gave family their loved one's brain in a box after his cremation. All right. NBC News, talk to me, baby. I wish I would have saw this one ahead of time so I could have read it ahead of time and prepared myself so I don't start laughing in the middle of what the hell is going on with this? Like, dude. Missouri family says that when they went to a funeral home to pick up their loved one's ashes, they were given an urn along with a cardboard box containing something they did not expect, the man's brain. Uh-oh. Someone must have authorized some tissue or organ procurement. The family of Frederick Dean Love Jr., 68, said the ordeal last year has left them suffering from severe emotional trauma and depression, according to a lawsuit filed in October in the Circuit Court of St. Louis City. Love's stepdaughter said she was still has severe headaches after she was exposed to a toxic embalming chemical used on the brain, the suit stated. Right. I'm just going to drink some of my iced tea and not comment further on that. Oh, my God. It's always, I have to admit, it is always fun to read when someone comes up with something creative in a way to, try to scrape just a little bit more cash out of that insurance policy, I guess. The family said they immediately realized something was wrong when they arrived at Simpson Funeral Home Chapel for an open casket service on October 3rd, 2022. Love had died on September 25th after collapsing at his Missouri home. He looks like a pretty cool guy. One of Love's stepchildren noticed his skin was a bruised purple color. The lawsuit stated blamed it on poor embalming practices. So here we go, embalmers. Purple discoloration. What are we looking at there? If he was embalmed, right, we're either looking at flushing. Okay, we're looking at flushing where there wasn't enough proper drainage, which collapsed at his home. That could indicate that he had some sort of clot. But, that's easily rectified by a multi-point injection, something like that, sectional. Could be lack of embalming, right? He could be decomposing at that point. He'd be turning that purplish color before he starts turning green and black and whatever. So that means there's excess blood in there again, a drainage issue. Or it's just good old-fashioned bruising. Or I guess the last one would be over injection, using something really dark, like maybe Intrafiant with Dinachrome or one of those really dark colored embalming dyes, and it just chemical burned that area. Lee writes, is that not a hazard issue? Like getting a brain or sniffing embalming chemicals? Of course, sniffing embalming chemicals is a hazard issue. But if you're getting a brain back, you're likely getting it back in either alcohol or formalin solution. So you're getting the brain back in a container that has essentially embalming chemical, but the scientific grade stuff that you're going to find at like schools. Like when you have to do like dissection of frogs and pigs and crap, that's a formalin solution. It's basically the base of what we make our consumer level embalming funeral chemicals out of. So like you getting headaches from sniffing it, you are literally the only person in humanity that has sniffed formaldehyde once and have persistent headaches. Like, I'm not seeing where that's going to be successful in court, just because it's like, not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying that quite literally there has been no other case on earth that anything has ever been successful that says that you've smelled formaldehyde and immediately you get the brain pain. Like, whatever. Yeah, purpura, definitely. So bruising. So folks, the fun Professor Finn way of teaching. It doesn't matter if it's an ecchymosis, if it's purpura, it's petechia, it's still bruising. It's still an extravasation of blood as a result of rupture. And if it's a really itty-bitty one, it's a petechia. If it's a larger one than that, then it's purpura. And if it's a big mother, then you're looking at an ecchymosis, right? The black eye versus the smaller patch versus the pinpoint stuff. But it's all the same. It's all bruising. And if you have the bruising and you inject that area, think about what both embalming books say, right? The 5th and the 6th edition. One of three things is going to happen. Not a damn thing. You're going to notice no change. It's going to embalm okay, and, via con Dios. And the last one is it's going to swell and turn into a golf ball because it's all leaking into the area, which means if it's leaking into that area, you're going to get like an overabundance of the dye coloration. It's not going to be blotchy. You're literally going to have like a dye pool just start filling that area, and away it goes. As for getting your brain back, I mean, it's like, I don't know, buying cow brain at the store, except, it came from whoever. It's just an organ. Like, legit. Brain is a meat that people eat from some animals. If you've ever seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, chilled monkey brains. Like, okay, dude. Like, I remember watching that movie as a kid and being like, people do this crap? And then I realized, yes, they do this crap. They literally sit there with a hammer and beat the shit out of a monkey's head until it dies, and they crack the skull and they eat it, and it's a delicacy. And it's like, yeah, if ever there was a reason for me to become vegan, you folks are doing a good job of listing that. Like, there's something to be said for halal laws regarding the humane and ethical slaughter of the animal before you eat the meat. Like, just whacking it with a hammer does not seem to be conducive to acting with good, humane, and moral character. So we got the blotchiness, but that by itself, that's going to have nothing to do with the fact that this guy's brain is in a jar. Like, it just doesn't. The question is, how did the brain leave the body? Like, that's the magic question. Further, certain rods used during tissue donation, which are to be removed after the donation and before the presentation of the body during a funeral service, were negligently and recklessly left in the body of the decedent and presented to the family. Okay, that's an absolutely false statement. Like, you get the damn rods because they reform the bones. Like, that just shows an absolute lack of understanding. It makes you look like an ass when your expert witness tears you a new one as how stupid you are. Like, you don't make statements like that. This is going to come back to haunt whoever said that. Like, so in the 5th edition of the book, they have a term for these limbs, Limbz, right? And when you do bone procurement, you're basically given extendable PVC rods. And you put those in the place of where the bones were for the whole purpose of recreating some structure to the body. And we teach you in mortuary school that it is the responsibility of the procurement organization to place those things in the body, to restore that body to some level of what it was before. We also teach you in mortuary school that you may request them to not do that, to teach you how to use it so that you can effectively perform your embalming preservation techniques and then put those in afterwards so they don't become contaminated and create a hazard for the embalmer during the preservation process. Foie gras, dude, I don't eat foie gras. I don't eat foie gras and I don't eat veal. Like, there are certain things I just don't touch. And it's for those ethical reasons. Like, I accept the fact that humans are omnivorous and that we can, like, eat whatever we want. But I also have to respect the fact that, There has to be a certain way you have to behave when you are procuring those meats. And foie gras is absolutely off the menu for me. Like, if I could ban it, I would. There's just a level of stupid involved with that I don't care how good it is. It's not worth it. Like, your soul dies a little when you do that to animals. These rods created an unnatural and rigid appearance to an already poorly handled embalming presentation. I'll let you in on a little secret. If you do organ and tissue procurement and you remove all the bones of the body, it's going to have a relatively unnatural appearance. You're removing bones that should be there. These are usually hidden under the types of clothing people are using. So, I don't know how this person was dressed, what type of clothing was presented, but certainly if you did like bone procurement, spine procurement, that you're going to want to have something that covers just about everything. Like, you just want to see head, you want to see some hands, everything else needs to be hidden under something, because it's just such an invasive process. And now knowing that they did like tissue, organ, bone procurement, that, you're probably looking at severe bruising. That's not a gentle process, not by any stretch of the imagination. And when they say like an already poorly handled embalming presentation, again, we're back with Liebeck versus McDonald's here. They're trying to paint a picture in the media that the funeral home's incompetent, which is why you have to look at actual expert witness testimony and the facts of the case. Say, okay, was it absolutely negligently embalmed? If you have let's look at this. The guy died on September 25th, and he is having an open casket service on October 3rd. So that's 5 is the 30th. So it's about a week later, right? We're looking at least a week. So when did the procurement occur? Likely very quick if he was an organ donor. So, they got him to the hospital. He is non-responsive, has no hope of recovery, declared in a persistent vegetative state. They pull life support after they do organ recovery, because organs have to come from a living body. When that's done, then they go ahead and do the tissue procurement, right? So how quick did they get him from that condition to the funeral home? If they let him sit at the hospital for a couple of days before the funeral home got to it, or they picked a funeral home, that's going to make a difference in what the funeral home can actually do with what they're getting. So I can't throw the funeral home under the bus immediately, but I can absolutely say that when someone makes a ridiculous statement like certain rods using tissue donation, which should be removed after the donation, no, they're intended to stay. Like, you literally don't know what you're talking about. And if there's nothing in there, then the funeral home has to improvise using things that, for the most part, the general public would find very offensive, right? Wooden dowels, stuff like that. You went down to Home Depot and got a wooden dowel? Yeah, because it's the only thing that I can bloody well do if I don't have this other thing which is intended for this. Like, you're painting yourself as a clueless moron if you make a statement like that, especially to people that know. And an expert witness will absolutely tear that apart. Like, you do not want to bring that up in the courtroom during any level of discussion, because you will just seem like an absolute clueless idiot. The family was also upset the American flag on Love's casket was wrinkled and unpressed. According to the suit, Love was a retired U.S. Armed Forces captain. So, okay, funeral directors, here we go, right? This comes up. This comes up to the what is our responsibility when we get stuff? Do we have to press every American flag that we're going to get? How quickly did we get that American flag? So for the lay people out there, funeral homes don't just keep like pressed. Well, some funeral homes do, but I feel comfortable in saying that the majority of funeral homes out there do not acquire U.S. flags, press them, and then store them until use. The way we get these flags is when a veteran passes away, there's an application for a flag that we can fill out to get a quote-unquote free flag from the government. And what we generally do is we get a bunch of these forms together, we take them to the post office, and we get a bunch of flags at that time. Smaller firms might get the family in, fill out the form, go to the post office, and get the flag at that moment. So again, it comes back to how much time do you have? And when we get these flags, when I was getting them for the funeral home, they would come in small cardboard boxes. They're folded up. And these are not made out of a expensive material, and it holds wrinkles like a mother. The majority of flags out there are probably going to be wrinkled during use just because of the fact that the funeral homes get them, open them, fold them in the same day that they're getting them. Not everyone wants to go out and have 10 flags and then replenish that stock from forms they get after the fact. I don't know what to tell you, folks. Following the funeral, the family's nightmare continued. The suit that said that on October 6th, Love's wife, son, and stepdaughter went to Simpson Funeral to pick up Love's ashes. They were given an urn containing the ash along with a plastic sack containing a cardboard box and articles of Fred's clothing. Okay, so that seems odd, doesn't it? That the funeral home would hold the personal effects until after the funeral. I suppose if the family came in, made the arrangements, then they got the body, then there's a legitimate reason why they didn't give the family the personal effects prior. That would be the situation I would fall into if a death occurred, family comes in, makes a notification, we do the arrangements right there, and it's not until after the fact that I get the personal effects from the hospital. And we're not under an obligation to drive those to the family and get them out of the funeral home quicker than that. So basically, nothing wrong there. Family came in and they got everything that the funeral home had at the time. The family placed the items in the stepdaughter's car and made the 6-hour drive back to the family home. Dude, why would you choose a funeral home 6 hours away? You must live in a... I live pretty rural in Texas. I'm outside Dallas. It's easy, a 40-minute drive into town, quote unquote, into Dallas. In 15 minutes, I can get to a Walmart Supercenter. 20 minutes, I can get to a major non-Dallas city that has just about anything I want, like a Kohl's, Best Buy, etc. I can tell you within 10-minute drive of my house, there's a funeral home. It's dinky, what you would expect, but there's one 10 minutes from my house. If I drive 15 to 20 minutes, there are funeral homes that are massive on the grounds of cemeteries that are impressive. So it's 6-hour drive? That's uncommon. During the trip, the stepdaughter smelled an extremely pungent chemical smell and started to develop a severe headache. Okay, so that's sounding legit. If they received a bag with some sort of preservative in there and it ruptures or something. My concern would be if that bag had a hole in it prior, you would know about it at the funeral home when you're picking it up. Folks, especially those of us who work around formalin solution, if it's aerosoling into the air, you're going to know about it quick. Even if it's the garbage they use from Frey Scientific or something where they're preserving fetal pigs and stuff. You know that this stuff is leaking. Once back to the funeral home, they placed the unopened box in the garage. So it was marked biohazard and inevitably believed it contained some of the Love's personal effects, which would be true, especially if he had any biological material on him, like blood or whatever from falling over or vomiting or whatnot. So again, legit. The fact the sticker is on there should not be surprising. And I want to say that just on family effects bags in general, I think they're pre-printed on there depending on which ones you're buying. I think they just have a biomedical hazardous material disclaimer on these effects bags. At least some of them do, I think. The lawsuit said the family is concerned about opening the box because the biohazard symbols and fear that Mid-America Transplant, a St. Louis non-for-profit that handles organ and tissue donation, had left lab work inside the box, the suit said. Love was an organ donor. Okay. So, again, I suppose this goes back, folks, to some disclosure situations, right? If you're giving stuff back to the family, you should be telling them what they're getting. Here are the possessions that the hospital gave us. Here's an inventory of what's inside the bag: belt, gray shirt, gold tone ring, etc. Right? Because they're signing for that. When it comes in, we teach you in mortuary school that you need to do an inventory of everything that's in that bag. Get 2 employees, count the stuff out, you both initial, and then seal it. And you put it in a secure location so that no one messes with it. When the family comes in, they sign a receipt for what you are handing over. Look how much garbage happens in our industry simply because people do not do what you are told to do in mortuary school. And worse yet, professionals say, "Oh, that's not the way it's done in the industry. These teachers don't know what they're talking about." Bro, avoid the lawsuit and keep us out of the damn news, man. You're killing me here. When the smell did not go away, the family began investigating what could be inside. If it smells bad, why would you wait? These are questions I'm going to be asking if I was on, if I was the attorneys or the subject matter expert or expert witness for the defendants in this case, right? Because the family is suing, they're the plaintiff, the defendants are going to be the funeral home. If it smells this bad, then why are you waiting? Like, if you have a bad smell in your refrigerator, you smell that meat is going bad, do you wait 3 more weeks before you chuck it? Like, if I smell something bad in my fridge, I'm sniffing all the drawers till I find it and getting it the hell out. Like, seriously. What's going on here? The family spent hours calling around trying to get answers, the lawsuit says. Well, if all you did was call the funeral home, yeah, and I don't know too many procurement agencies that don't return their calls promptly. Like, most procurement agencies absolutely, like, want you to have a positive customer experience. Like, they want you to recommend organ donation. So that's really unlikely that if you contacted an organ donor association, transplant procurement association, that they're not going to return your call and be like all over that, having worked with like various organizations over the years. Their customer service game is top notch. So that's really weird. Well, until the family took the box back to Bow Funeral Home, or I guess Boy Funeral Home, which handled the original embalming, that they were told what was in the box. Okay, so error number 1. Should have told them that ahead of time. According to the family, a staff member at the funeral home told the family that essentially you guys were given a box that contains Fred's brain by mistake by the funeral home. Huh? Just, huh? The staff member said the brain had been removed and embalmed separately because Love underwent a partial autopsy, according to the lawsuit. The staff member said the smell was mostly like from embalming chemicals, the suit said, and told the family that the chemicals were not toxic. Someone as high as a kite. Like, what did y'all put in there? So let's look at the wide variety of chemicals that are available to professional embalmers to store specimens. Arterial fluid, okay, arterial fluid. And let's say for the sake of argument, we're not looking at a green cemetery here, so we're not looking at something that's green friendly. What's the basis for all of that? Formalin. And if it's a really quality chemical, it's going to probably also have carbolic acid as one of the components. Like, you're going to get those triple base chemicals. But you at least have formalin, and that's got a base of methanol in it as well. What's the only other thing that we possibly have? Straight alcohol, methanol. Like, what are you going to do? Pour it in dry wash? I mean, I suppose you could use acetone, right? But I don't know what I don't think I've ever stored tissue in acetone, like Home Depot grade industrial paint thinner. I would think that would dissolve tissue. Like, that would have a harmful, detrimental effect to the tissue. So I don't think we would be using that. But I could see us using, like, just straight methanol, like denatured alcohol or something like that. So that's weird. Essentially, you guys were given a box that contains Fred brain by mistake by the funeral home. What is Professor Finn always saying? Get a better damn vocabulary. Like, sorry, you guys, that you got the brain. Oops. Like, oh my God. This is why you don't let your part-time help answer questions like this. You're killing me. You folks are literally going to give me a heart condition. The staff member said the brain had been removed and bones. Yeah. That's really weird that they would not have placed that where it usually goes following an embalming procedure. Those of you who are embalmers know what I'm talking about. Like, did you find it after the fact? That just kind of blows my mind. So let's say for the sake of argument, right? Let's say for the sake of argument that autopsy happens, brain gets forgotten, funeral home is contacted, they go back and and the brain is still separate now that the cremation's over. What are some potential things that we can do about this? One, I don't know, you could inform the family that there was an issue, right? And let's face it, folks, when we go to pick up a body, we don't normally say, is is everything in there that's supposed to be, right? That's a risk management issue for the procurement agency or the hospital or whatever facility is housing the remains during the time they're doing the procurement. They don't tell us that something is missing. We have no idea something is missing. If they say, hey, we got this guy's brain, what do we do? Well, guess what you need to do? You need to call the family and let them know, okay? So let's say for the sake of argument, we're gonna throw these guys a mulligan. What do? We go and We deliver the brain to a crematory. We say, hey, drop this in the pan. Can you cremate this real quick? And then just give us the ashes. We'll open the bag. We'll put it all in there. No harm, no foul. So maybe we have to pay our crematory if we're using a third-party crematory, $100. Last one of the day. We're talking about a brain, okay? Those of you that are crematory operators, you know damn well if you put a brain in a cardboard box, like let's say for the sake of argument, we're going to do this legitimately. So we're going to take the brain out of the plastic bag because the plastic bag is likely non-combustible. We don't have a MSDS for that. Or a combustion data sheet, so we don't know if it's safe to cremate. We could probably cremate the cardboard box, but I would say err on the side of caution. You don't have an SDS for that, so don't cremate it. Put the brain in the pan, put the pan in the oven, in the retort, then put that bad boy on 15 minutes, 20 minutes, last one of the day. You already have a hot retort. You let the flame kind of hit it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you go into cool down for the rest of your day. You're not going to have anything basically left in that pan. Then let it cool out, sweep whatever you need into a plastic bag for the funeral home to take back, and they place it in the urn. The family's none the wiser. Like, I'm not saying that the family needs to know that, the procurement agency screwed up, but you did it right. And we're not talking about processing. It's a brain. When it gets put into 1600 degrees with a full secondary burner, like pouring flame onto it, it is not going to last 30 minutes. Like, there's nothing there where it's just not going to vaporize as quickly as possible. So if someone's out there is going to be like, that's going to take at least 45 minutes. Okay, fine. I'll defer to your expert math on the factor. But it's a brain in front of what is basically a jet burner in a large brick retort. It is not going to take a long time to cremate by any stretch of the imagination. The staff member said the smell was mostly likely from embalming chemicals. That doesn't make sense. Like, even if we embalmed it, we wouldn't leave it in fluid. We'd put it back in a bag. Like, I can't even tell you what the hell we would do because I have never done it like that. Like, that makes no sense to me. But logic would denote if I am giving a brain back to somebody that I am probably going to ask them how they want it. Like, if they don't want it, then I'm going to dispose of it in regulated medical waste. Like, it's tissue. That's all it is. So if they want it, great, then you figure it out. If they don't, you put it in regulated medical waste, and you make sure you keep that bill of lading so you know when you sent it out. Like, come on. Lawsuit alleged that the chemicals used are believed to be a carcinogen that can cause chemical burns and toxic if inhaled, ingested, and touch. Yeah, well, the lawsuit doesn't need to allege that. That's basically the reality of dealing with the formaldehyde. But in regards to chemical burns, not going to get a chemical burn from that. You get a chemical burn like really bad from carbolic acid, from phenol. The suit said the family expressed their bewilderment and extreme sadness at the interference in their grieving process. Well, yeah, that's a legit statement. Like, nothing off the books there. Like, this is something ridiculous they need to go through. It's believed that the funeral home is still in possession of the brain according to the lawsuit. Well, yeah, pending a lawsuit, of course they're probably going to keep it. Like, and then what are they going to do? They're probably going to dispose of it using regulated medical waste. David Bubb, an attorney for Bow Funeral Home or Boy Funeral Home, said they are aware of the lawsuit and adamantly deny any allegations of wrongdoing. Yeah, especially if, like, the procurement wasn't even done at the funeral home. Like, if they're getting it after the fact. Again, folks, this comes back to communication. Like, just talk. Let people know what's going on. Try to figure something out. And above all else, call your damn attorney if something like this happens. Say, here's my situation. What do you think I should do? Like, get that person in on there so they can at least at a minimum advise you on how to do damage control. This is why you have attorneys on retainer. We're a first-class funeral home that's been serving the St. Louis community for many years. Kevin Lee, the president and CEO of Mid-America Transplant, denied responsibility for the situation as alleged. Everything the lawsuit described happened after Love left their care. So are we looking... So, they might... There could be several different procurement agencies involved, right? Someone does one thing, someone does something else. It's not uncommon. Back in Florida, you have the Miami Brain Bank at the University of Miami. Someone might do an organ procurement. Body goes to the funeral home, and then the procurement tech for the brain, they go to the funeral home to pick it up. There can be multiple agencies involved. So legitimately, this guy could be, telling the truth that, hey, we did what we were supposed to. We sent it to the funeral home. If someone else did a procurement, that's between them and whoever. We have standard protocols that we consistently follow through the donation process to ensure we honor the integrity and dignity of the heroic individuals who say yes to organ and tissue donation. That's some good language. That's a great way to say it. Heroic. I like it. The lawsuit also named Simpson Funeral Home and a medical transport company. Okay, so we might have had a pickup and hold. Okay, we might have had a pickup and hold, and a procurement happened at this other funeral home, where Simpson is the one that does the preps, and Bow just does the front end of the business. They just do the services and stuff like that. So that's uncommon. You're going to have a secondary funeral home involved in the process, unless they're doing your central prep. I also don't know if these are family funeral homes or if these are part of a larger corporate conglomerate where, maybe Simpson is their central prep. Medical transport company, Battlefield bonded courier as defendant. Simpson did not immediately respond to request for comment on Friday. So this is, when did this go down? This was in December. So this one is going on. I'm going to print this out. I'm going to print this out and keep an eye on this because I'm going to want to see if what happens with this. Let's go back to chat. Why would you? Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you not let the family know? And again, folks, if you find yourself in a problem, the best thing you can do is contact your attorney. Get them on it immediately. You do not wait to engage your legal counsel. Like, you just don't do it. You involve them as part of the figuring out process. So that way, they can take proper steps. And your interactions are generally protected by the attorney-client privilege. So it's not like, if you have your conversations with the attorney, that those are going to be, picked apart. So above all else, call your attorney and figure things out. Now, granted, once your attorney knows there's a problem, they're an officer of the court, they're going to have to act on it, you're going to have to do the right thing. But at least get your attorney involved. I don't want to save that there. I'm going to save that there. All right, folks. The time is 7:48 Central. I have been here almost 2 hours. I'm going to say that's that for, let's look through articles and stuff. Anything, for those of you that are still listening, because again, my analytics are completely trashed at this point. I don't know how many people I have. I apparently have an excellent connection, but that's not what OBS Studio was telling me. Let's go back to full screen. See if that helps any. Let's do transition. Bam. There it is. Let's kill Chrome. Yeah, that didn't, I wonder if, I only bet the control panel for YouTube isn't even going to work. I knew I shouldn't have uploaded OBS. I was kicking my ass for doing it. Oh, now it's working. Hey, I'll take that. Yeah, now it's saying that there's 5 of you and my connection is excellent, and OBS is still telling me that my connection is trash. I love it. Technology. I was logged into YouTube Studio. Might have been counting me. So those of you in chat, hey man, anything you want to talk about for maybe the last couple of minutes here before I wrap things up? Go make sure my Chihuahua is still breathing. I'll say that jokingly, but my old guy, he's getting up in years. He's having issues. Where did my pop filter go? There it is. There we go. Darla, late to the live stream. No worries. I got 10 more minutes. Then if Domino's doesn't get here, it's going to be free. Tonight's leftovers, folks. Sorry, Domino's ain't coming. I got Domino's a couple days ago. You folks know Domino's has some of the cheapest and quickest food that you can possibly get that's pretty decent. You can probably eat a king for less than $15. Get a pasta dish and get one of their breads. I think that's gonna set you back a whopping $15 after taxes. If you Uber Eats it, then that's on you because you have to pay the delivery fee and the rest of that crap. But pickup, dude, pasta dish plus one of their breads, forget it. That's an entire meal, if not like dinner tonight, lunch tomorrow. I will tell you that here in Roy City, there is a barbecue place called Smoke Sessions. I was there last night. That's what I got, was Smoke Sessions barbecue. Holy crap, dude. No joke. That is some of the best damn barbecue I have ever had anywhere. Their barbecue game is good. H-E-B isn't bad for a grocery store. Like, their barbecue is meh. You know, it's decent. But Smoke Sessions, they're worth every penny. I had a student from Jamaica tell me she watched an embalmer use Kool-Aid as embalming dye recently. Very interesting. Kool-Aid is probably like red number 5 or something like that. So I don't think that would react. I mean, it's artificial. So that probably wouldn't react with any of the components. So, folks, we're definitely talking about Kool-Aid as in the small 15-cent package, not like Kool-Aid in the jar, because that's going to have sugar, and you don't want to be putting sugar in there. Like, that'd just be ratchet. I don't know if that would be an active dye or not. If I was still teaching at a lab, like, I would probably say, hey, for the giggles of it, I might try that. Get, like, a pack of embalming of like, cherry Kool-Aid or something like that, and then do an injection just to see into, like, maybe a leg, just to see if it doesn't part color, and if it doesn't part color, what type of color you're looking at. I would be curious as to what are you using as a base. I mean, I know overseas you folks are buying stuff usually by the drum, but you can buy like legit embalming chemical by the drum. I mean, people don't understand the differences between overseas, out of United States embalming or not really the embalming procedures, but how people outside the United States have to acquire the chemical. They don't understand the differences there. And generally, folks, if you're buying outside of the United States, you're buying like in bulk. You're buying like a big oil drum of stuff. So it would not be surprising if they're buying some non-dyed thing and then having to add colorant after the fact. You always have coupons. You're going to go to Walgreens, pick up some Intrafiant, pick up some Triton. Yeah? Don't forget your toilet paper. Could you imagine if they started selling that crap? Like, just, I mean, don't take me wrong. Like, I don't know. Lee, maybe you were in the lab where I made green embalming chemical, and I thought I broke our Dodge machine in the process. It actually embalmed pretty good. It embalmed probably comparable to what, I mean, in my, uneducated vision, it embalmed comparable to what we were using that was a green chemical from a major chemical supplier. And I just made that, with the exception of the dye, using stuff that I bought from Costco and from, I forget what it was called, like Bulk Apothecary or something like that, because I needed some place to buy food-grade glycol. Are you a dry rub type of guy or sauce? I'm dry rub all the way. I don't mind sauces, but I'm all about rubs. Like last night, when I finally got into the brisket, I'll eat barbecue with nothing added to it. Like, I want to see, what did you do to it? How does it taste, etc. And I have to admit, like, their sauce was perfect for their brisket. Like, it was. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke here. It was one of the best barbecues I've ever had, if not the best barbecue I've ever had. If I'm doing my own smoking, it's almost always going to be a dry rub. I'm just lazy. I don't like having to go in there and like baste. I'll do that for like a ham or a turkey or something for like Thanksgiving, but I don't like doing that when I smoke. Has citrates in it, so maybe a little beneficial. Well, you're not wrong, but the problem with the citrates is you already have, citrates in whatever you're using as your mediator. So, like, if you're using a pre-injection or a co-injection fluid, now you're adding more to it. That could throw off, like, the osmotic qualities. Again, I'm not saying there's anything harmful in it. Just saying that I'd want to test it and see what happens, and then, keep a body for 15 days and see,
how it kind of works. And you'd have to do it. Obviously, I'd want to do it with like 5 or 6 different bodies, and check the results over time, see if I can get it consistent. And truth be told, the bodies we get in Miami are not that great to start with, so it'd probably fairly unreliable. And no one is going to do that on a consumer level. Like no one's going to do that in their funeral home in the United States. That's just asking for it. I remember I embalmed with a cheap embalmer that used off-brand Dawn dish soap as a surfactant. I mean, it is. It is. I don't know if I'd want to add that to my mix. Again, I wouldn't mind trying some of that to see how it works. Absolutely, you're going to have Dawn dish soap in your embalmer. It's one of the best surface topical degreasers you can actually buy. Like, you need to get stuff off the body. I'm not saying that like germicidal soaps are bad, but there's a reason why Dawn dishwashing detergent is in every prep. There should be in every prep room in the United States. Like, you can just use it and use it and use it without worrying about like doing anything to the skin. No, not me. I wanted to see your homemade embalming fluid. You talked about it. Yeah, basically vodka, glycol, and then I would just use whatever stuff off the shelf we had for co-injection. I think I used ProFlow. I think it was ProFlow. And then I can't remember if I used VitaHue or if I used Intertone for the dye. But, I mean, it embalmed just fine. The rule there, folks, is if you're going to try to make this, make sure you put your vodka in first with your water and then add your glycol. Do not put your glycol in first. If you put your glycol in first, you run the risk of gunking up your machine, and that's exactly what I did. Is I poured the glycol in and then put the other stuff. I would strongly advise, if you're going to try to do this, put all the other ingredients in, put the machine on mix, and then add your glycol last, and add it slow so it has time to combine. Since you are not using anything that has formaldehyde in it, you don't have to worry about fumes overwhelming you, so you can just sit there with the lid off and pour the stuff in slow. Sweet Baby Ray's ain't bad. Sticky Fingers is pretty good for barbecue sauce. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you what I like doing is I like going to like Home Goods or places like that where they have the different types of sauces and whatnot that I won't normally look for. And if I see it on clearance, I'll buy it. Like if it's $3 a bottle, I'll buy it just to try it. And then I'll try to hunt it down after that. One thing I'll give Dallas, man, you need a market, they have one. So if you need Asian, they got an Asian market the size of like a Walmart neighborhood market or even a Walmart. I mean, they're huge. You need a Middle Eastern market, they got that too, same size. I forget what the Muslim market I found was. I know next to it has a bakery called Oasis Bakery, and it might be Oasis Mart. But that's a good Middle Eastern halal market. Then there was, I think it's Ranch 99. By its name, you wouldn't think it, but it is a huge Asian market, like all denominations. You need Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, Japanese, whatever, they got it. Then there is India Bazaar. They actually have a chain of supermarkets that cater to Pakistani, that sort of stuff, Desi sort of culture. So just about anything you want to find, you can find it in Dallas. And again, we're not looking at like little itty bitty places. We're looking at 20,000 square foot plus. They're huge. I say Rhino Surfactant didn't have time to order more. Yeah, that's okay. Like, I get it, dude. I get it. But this is why you want to be on top of your purchasing. But again, overseas, you order something, it's got to get through customs. There's a lot of reasons why you're going to get delays. In the United States, it's going to get there as long as you don't get inclement weather. It'll get there in like days because you can't ship the stuff by air. Add it straight to the machine. Yeah. I think the only thing you would want to do in something like that is make sure you run the machine on mix for a couple of minutes or get the angular forceps out and stir just to make sure it's not like going straight down and shooting straight in. Like, you're going to want to disperse it a little bit better. Finding obscure feuds, products, and someone's like Home Goods, yeah, is underrated. Absolutely. Like, Home Goods is my go-to for that. TJ Maxx, I found some stuff there. It's okay. Marshall's is but Home Goods is the go-to. Like, If I am literally got time to kill, I will drive by a Home Goods, walk in, and see just what's in the cuisine aisle. Like perks of being a fat kid. About the pens I have, dude, I've got like a dumb amount of pens, like stupid amount of pens. So like, what pens are you looking for? Fountain pens, expensive fountain pens, cheap fountain pens. Like, I've got my Regatta Sport. Because what I did is all my monitors were on stands, and I packed the stands, and I forgot to unpack them. Like I just set up my office when I got the text to get it set up, and I spent a little bit on Wednesday putting all the stuff back the way it was, and like I forgot I left a bunch of these pens like in the stands because I just taped everything shut. The Don just hope was looking find a kind of dude. Who was it? Like, is that St. Pete, Florida, or is there a St. Pete like in the islands? Because I'm from St. Pete, Florida. Like, I might know this person. Especially if they're unhinged, I probably know this person. Two brought to class. Dude, I brought lots of stuff to class. Like, that was part of my shtick back in the days. I would just swap my pens out on like a weekly basis. So for those of you looking to like get like a quality writing instrument, one of the ones that I recommend that's absolute like super cheap, wonderful, wonderful pen is Tool, T-U-L. You can buy these at Office Depot, Office Max, because I think they're all combined into one company. They're a gel pen. And I think you pay maybe $20, $25 for these. You can get them on clearance sometimes for less than 20. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best pens money can buy. Just great pen. This one's in gunmetal. And I leave this in my office all the time. It's fun to write with. The ink is phenomenal. I love it to death. Using like their standard stuff, it just flows really nice. If you hand this to someone, they're going to think that this is like a designer pen, like better than a Cross, even better than a Mont Blanc. St. Pete, Florida. I'm blasting his name. Okay, legit. I probably know whoever it is. Like, that's cool. Unless they're like a new licensee or something. This is a Monteverdi Regatta Sport. What's cool about these pens is it has a magnet on the back that locks it into place. These are one of my favorite ball points to use. Problem is I find that as a daily writer or something you travel with, these things, like, they get injured quick. Like, they'll last, but they start to look really, really, really worn. And my biggest complaint with Monteverdi is their ink refills suck. I'm not even gonna try to be nice about it. They just suck. So if you're going to do a Monteverdi, I would recommend going on like Amazon and buying something for this through a third-party ink manufacturer. And there's some good ones out there. I forget who it is. I'd have to log into my Amazon account and take a peek. But there's one guy that has basically ink refills for everything. If you are looking for, let me throw up Chrome here real quick. I'll talk a little bit more. I'll spend another 20 or 30 minutes talking about fountain pens because, like, I'm a jackass. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, before I share this, let me sign out of the business account. Boink. Just a second here, folks. Better not ask me. Oh, dude, what is it with this two-step verification crap? Like, I've owned this damn iMac since 2016. How does it not know that? Okay, where's Amazon? This is so ridiculous. All right, here we go. Let's go look at the old orders. I'll share the screen once I pull up my order so I can see what... That took forever. Pen. All right, let's get this thing shared. Boom. So Schmidt, SCHMIDT. These refills are some of the best in the market. And what's cool is he makes these refills for everything: Mont Blanc, Omas, Monteverde, everything. So if you need a pen refill, they're cheap and they write really, really good. So I have an Omas 360, which I can put that on the screen if y'all want to see one. If you're buying one new, you're probably looking at like $800 to $1,200. If you're looking used, you can probably find one for like $300 to $600. It's a really unique pen. Like it's visually and physically impressive. The problem is Omas went out of business, and then I forget who purchased them. Might have been Monteverde or one of the other Italian companies, and they went back into production. So they're producing them again, but there was no refills for them. So I had one refill with it when I got it. It wrote okay. It wasn't bad. And then I bought some of these Schmidt refills to fit it. And that pen writes like $1,000,000. Like, it's a great pen. I can tell you that Jinhao, these guys right here, they're a knockoff brand. Okay, they are homages to pens on the market. And I forget what the Jinhao 82 is an homage to. I don't know if it's a Mont Blanc or if it's like a Noodler's or what the hell it is. But they're basically cheap plastic. And here you have like, 4 for $26. I mean, they're not bad pens. Like, they're not bad pens at all. If you just want to get a fountain pen that's going to write well and get into it on the cheap, this is a great pen to use. You don't even really need to play around with the nib or something. It, like, out of the factory, it writes pretty good. So this is a decent pen. It comes in a bunch of different colors. Like, Jinhao is good for that. What I will tell you, though, is when you get these cheap plastic pens, they stain very easily if you're using, like, quality inks. So they're going to get discolored. They're going to look nasty pretty quick. Probably one of my favorite pens I've gotten recently, $40, the Mahjong A1. This is an homage of the Pilot Namiki Vanishing Point. So this is a fountain pen that acts like a pushback. So this is a really cool pen. This is a really fun pen. When you store it, it's upside down, right? So, you can see the clip right here. The clip is on the bottom of the pen as you would write with it. And when you push it shut, it goes upright so that way it doesn't leak down into your pocket if something bad happens. But this is a great little pen. I would recommend if you want like a cool pen, you want to write with a fountain, this is one to use. And they got a bunch of different colors and whatnot. Got to be very careful with the inks you use in something like this, because if it's a chunky ink, if it's got like some of these inks will have like iridescence or something in there, you would absolutely do not want to use that in something like this. In general, you don't want to use inks that are iridescent with fountain pens that aren't made for those inks, because it will clog the pen. It's a pain in the ass. You could even like destroy the pen in the process. So those are like probably two. I can tell you I got these two pens before I left Miami sometime. I mean, when did I buy this? I bought this in July. So, I left I left my job at Miami. I turned in my notice the very end of July. So I got this, and I was using this actually in my labs. Like this became one of my daily writers. This is a great little pen. Other nice pens. I'll show you what the Omas 360 looks like. This is a ridiculous pen. I don't have it in the office with me. But this is such a unique looking pen, and this certainly is not for everybody. Like, this pen is huge, but it is such a cool little pen. It does come in a fountain. If you're looking at the fountain, you're not spending less than $900. Like, don't even think it. If you can find a fountain version of this for less than like $500 or $600, buy it now. You buy it if you want one of these bad enough, because that is like an excellent price for it. But they are huge. Okay, they are huge. And when you have it in your hand, people are going to know it's in your hand. Like, this is not a subtle pen, not by any stretch of the imagination. I saw this on a pen channel on YouTube and was like, yeah, I think I'm going to get one of these. And I managed to find a rollerball version for like less than $200, which again, that's one of those prices. You see one for less than $2, you want one of these bad enough, you get that. Unless it's like chipped, cracked, and falling apart. Then don't waste your money. Let's see. Jet Pens is pretty cool. Jet Pens is whatchamacallit. I bought something recently from Jet Pens. Um, I think what I bought from Jet Pens was a Pelican. Was a Pelican? Yeah, it was a Pelican. So I hadn't owned a Pelican pen. Pelican's a great brand. Pelican's like a nice designer brand. Pelicans, you're probably going to spend somewhere between brand new. Let's see what they're charging for them. I was going to say somewhere between like 2 and 4. Yeah, 200. 200 on up. Oh, you got some smaller ones for 163. So these are going to probably be a little bit more delicate. These might be, nope, they're about the same size. Pelican runs the gamut. So with a nice pen, folks, you're going to spend some cash on it. Like, you're just going to spend some cash. I know people go running out, oh, I like Cross. Cross is okay. Like, I own a couple of Cross pens. A couple of them actually became daily use pens for me. The one Cross pen that I like just because of its mechanism is there's one that you pull. You have to expand it to write with it. I forget what it's called. I got it at Office Depot when it was going out of business. There was an Office Depot, I think, up on Commercial off of University. I think that was Sunrise or Tamarack, somewhere around there. And they were selling their Cross pens for like $20. So I bought, no joke, I must have spent like 180, 190, 200 plus bucks. I bought a bunch of different Cross pens, if for no other reason, for trade bait and for resale. And a couple of them I actually liked as roller balls. So I tend to write a lot with roller balls now. I think Jet Pens also does Jinhao. Like almost all these folks do Jinhao. So Jet Pens ain't bad. One that I will tell you that I buy all sorts of crap from is I love Goulet pens. And Goulet also has a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to take care of your pens. So the important thing you folks need to understand about when you buy a fine writing instrument, you need to take care of it. Like if you don't take care of it, you're going to destroy it, and you've destroyed your investment because pens aren't cheap. So again, not everyone has to go buy a prestige pen spending $1,000. And I can't tell you that I have spent probably more than $300 on a single pen. And most of my pens are actually inexpensive, like Chinese knockoff stuff from Jinhao, stuff like that. And I have found them to be better writers in some cases than much more expensive pens. Something like this, the Euphoria Napolitan, I'd want to see it before I would want to buy it, because you're looking at like $200. It's a pretty pen. This absolutely makes a statement when you're using it. So, this would be a pretty cool pen. I do not know enough about this brand to recommend, yes, buy it. No, do not. Part of your problem with pens, folks, is you can only buy them from like mail order places like this. So you're not even going to know what it feels like in your hand until you get it. I recommend doing searches for pen expos, pen cons, literally, near you in your area. And you'll be able to go and, walk around the different tables and look for the ones you're looking for and feel them and whatnot. And also those pen expos are a great place to take your pens if you need to get them serviced, because you'll have people with good experience that can service your nibs, fix issues regarding like scratching and whatnot. This is a hell of a hobby. But one of the things I've said for years is that if you are a funeral professional, get yourself a nice pen. Like just get yourself a nice roller ball. And when you write with a nice pen, you will understand that there's a difference between that and like, the Bic that you bought for $5 over at whatchamacallit, at like Office Depot or something. So I am absolutely spoiled. I never go anywhere without a nice pen. And if I'm going somewhere where I don't want to bring a really nice pen, I literally take one of my Cross pens with me. The one I talked about that you pull it open. It's such a funky pen. And oddly enough, it fits really well in my hand. I love Station, but my penmanship is absolute trash. I write like a drunken sailor. It's not about how you write, folks. It's about how you feel when you write, so that we're clear about this. Like, my handwriting is awful. My handwriting is trash. But I will tell you that my favorite ink to write in is Mont Blanc Royal Blue. And my go-to every day is a Mont Blanc. You're going to be spending anywhere between $500 to $800. You might be able to get like a nice Mont Blanc used. Let's see. People will say they're Mont Blanc. It's French, Mont Blanc, okay? And don't go crazy. Like, fountain pens are nice. Don't take me wrong. I love fountain pens. Rollerballs are infinitely more practical for what we do as professionals. So if this isn't a knockoff, this isn't bad. This looks like something decent. That's definitely fake ink. I don't know that Mont Blanc even sells their ink wrapped in plastic like that. You have to buy it from, it comes in cardboard boxes if you buy it right from the store. I don't think they do cellophane, and if it's in a gift box with a pen, it certainly isn't in cellophane like that. Yeah, this is a good base pen. This is I think this is a 163. This looks like a 163. So that's not a bad pen to start off with. But understand, any of this stuff is a luxury. Okay? And I have just told you that some of the best ink that you can buy is cheap shit on Amazon that will completely change the way that your pen feels. That's the most important thing. Is the most expensive pen I own, I think, is a Stipula. That's a very nice brand from Italy. And I think I paid $500 for the pen. It's like an $1,800 pen, brand new on closeout, like they're just flushing them. I can tell you I hate writing with it. It was the most disappointing purchase I've ever had, and likely the first chance I get, I will offload it for something else. But it's a beautiful pen, platinum nib with gold. I mean, it's a gorgeous pen. Writes like hell. Writes very wet. So you have to absolutely be using the right type of paper for this thing. You're just going to bleed ink through everything. Probably my favorite pen, the one I use every day, is a Mont Blanc Star Walker. It's was given to me by my good friend Fernando. Yes, it is nice to have friends who can afford like very nice writing instruments as gifts. Let me just say that. Okay. God bless him. I love the man. He's a great guy. His family's phenomenal group of people. I love them all very dearly. This is not the one that I have. This is one where you can pull the cap off and post it on the back. Actually, the one he got me is the Twisty. I'm going to see if I can find it here somewhere. This is a good one to start with. Like, honest to God, this is a good one to start with. If you want like a really nice pen, you can't really go worse than a Mont Blanc. And this is going to be comparable to something like Pelican or whatever at that price point. So, here it is. At $118, this is definitely fake. Oh yeah, this is fake as shit. This is absolute fake shit. No way it's real. But you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. The crystal is way too elongated. They don't sell one in a pattern like that. They probably bought a box and a service guide off the internet. You know, you can buy them on eBay, and then they just put a fake pen in there. You could find this at probably one of the Chinese manufacturers. I don't have it in the rubber. I just have it in the enamel, but that's still like a $500 or $600 pen. But they're royal blue. They're ink cartridges. That is like the perfect blue for me. The closest thing I found to it, I have it on the shelf. I forget what brand it is, but the color is denim. It is very, very similar to the Mont Blanc Royal Blue. Let's see. Mont Blanc's not the most expensive option. It's probably one of the more known brands because they have all sorts of, and they got some truly expensive pens. Like they got pens in the $30,000-$40,000 mark, but they are by no means the gold standard of pen. There are so many people who like pens, like the pen. They don't like the brand. They find a pen they like. Like I can tell you that Mont Blanc has the 149. Okay, I'll pull it up here right now. And this is a nice pen. Do not take me wrong. I own one. Okay, this is a nice pen. This is a beefy pen. These are great little pens. These are great little pens. They're a bit larger than most. If you need a smaller pen, like the 163 is a good choice because it's much more delicate. And so what you do is you go to the stores, you find what pen fits your hand well. Like when you buy something like this, you're going to want to write with it. There's no purpose in spending the money on this foolish thing if you're not going to write with it. I've got a couple of pens that stay in the cases. Absolutely, the Stipula is one of them. But for the most part, I have inked and written with every one of my pens. I don't buy one just to store it. Like, I didn't buy the Omas because I wanted an investment vehicle. I bought it because I wanted to write with it and feel what it's like. So you can't go wrong with the Mont Blanc. But like I said, do your research on the pens. Start with something cheap if you're going to go into the fountain pen. There are plenty of people on YouTube that will talk about this. Doodlebud. 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 He's got some great videos. Goulet has some great videos reviewing the different pens that he sells. But I will tell you that if you just see a pen and say, hey, that looks cool, you might be disappointed when you get it to write with it. Or it might need some tweaking, which means you're going to want to find someone that is able to adjust the nub so it flows better, etc. And then once you get into pens, the inks make a huge difference with fountain pens. If you're using like Noodlers versus Pilot versus whatever, how these inks work in different pens is absolutely a thing, and some inks do not work well in some pens. So it's a hell of a hobby to get into. But once you start writing with a fine writing instrument, I promise you'll never want to go back, because there's something about writing with a quality pen. If you're in plan, recommend Hobonichi. I don't do planners. I don't do planners. The one thing that I discovered that I made for myself is a traveler's notebook. So I discovered the traveler's line, and I buy their inserts, but then I just got a piece of leather and made myself my own traveler's notebook, and that's the one I carry with me everywhere. That's got all my stuff. I bought an actual traveler's notebook, passport size, for my passport, and I keep that in my go-to bag for travel. Since with the job now, I do a lot of traveling, and I hate traveling. I do a lot of traveling. Like, I've got a trip coming up next week if we don't get iced over. I want one of those fine quill pen sets with the romantic metal embellishments and inkwells. Those are cool. One of the things I have, it's probably in one of the boxes in the garage, is I have an old inkwell from the Dodge Chemical Company. I used to keep it on my desk at Miami-Dade College for a dip pen. And what's cool about dip pens, you can virtually use any ink that you want because there's nothing to clog them up. So certainly writing with a quill pen or a glass dip pen, any dip pen, is cool. And you can write with a fountain pen. You can write with a fountain pen as a dip pen if you wanted to, but they're not engineered to hold a reservoir like an actual dip pen does. Like, dip pens are made that when you dip them, they hold enough ink so you can write a couple of words without going back and re-dip. I've got like one or two of the glass ones. Lee, I heard about how much in my bullet journal phase. Okay. It's really nice, but you have to share about as you're wasting your money. I may have the Hobonichi Techno 2020. Okay, now you folks are making me look this crap up. Like, oh shit, Navy in the house. What's up, Squid? It's good to see you, Katrine. Let's look at this stuff. Oh, yeah, okay. So basically, the Hobonichi roll planner, this thing right here, this is a, okay, here's the Teco. Here's the one of y'all said you had. Let's take a look at this thing. Yeah, this ain't my style. This ain't my thing. Like, don't take me wrong. I don't know if it's on screen. It's right there. No, it's not on screen. So just over here off screen, no joke, I got a journal someone got me. It's big old fuzzy white, pink pastels, and it's got like a big squishy llama on the front of it. Like, I'll go for something like that. You won't ever see me carrying that out in public. Like, you just won't do it. This is what I do. So Goulet's got some Travelers. That's a good price for a Traveler's notebook, $55. But this is me. Like, this is me all the way. And when I saw these for the first time, I'm like, dude, I'm not going to pay $55 for this. I can make my own. So for the cost of a Traveler's notebook, I literally bought some like leather off of Amazon plus a leather tool working kit and made mine. Now I got a leather tool working kit, and I can make as many of these as I want. If mine breaks, I can, fix and do anything I want with it. I love this. Like, I love my Traveler's notebook. Regarding pens for funeral professionals, I can only say that, same for law enforcement adult, I can honestly say that I've noticed how particularly people get over their pen. Yeah, yeah. Which, is I told you folks, Mont Blanc's not a bad brand to start with. Don't get yourself an expensive, like a super expensive one. Get yourself anything like this, folks. Save your money, buy it brand new, and it'll be much more precious to you. Like, I can tell you that the Mont Blanc Star Walker that Fernando got me, my year as Worshipful Master of my Masonic Lodge, I use that to sign everything. That's the pen I handed to people for them to sign my mother's register at her funeral. I have signed my termination notices. I have signed my letter of acceptances. Almost every major life event, I have used that pen over any other pen that I own because it's the one Fernando gave me and it's that important. It's named in my will that when I die, that pen goes with me. That is not something I'm giving to someone. That is my pen. That is how much that pen is important to me. And every time it is broken, I have sent it to be fixed. Because, again, I use it constantly. It is always with me. When I left Miami, that pen was in my pocket. That is not one I am leaving anywhere. And it's generally one I take when I travel. That is my pen. Not always, but generally. But again, if you want to dive into fountain pens, $40, man, on Amazon gets you a good pen. That Mahjong A1 Vanishing Point. A Pilot Namiki is going to cost you $130, if not more. It's almost the same exact pen. And I have a Pilot Namiki Vanishing Point. I have one of their more expensive ones. And it's a fun pen to use. I love using it. But then I discovered the Mahjong, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. Now I don't mind beating that one up. It's $40. My pens aren't of the utmost quality, but they are cute and decorative, so it's definitely when I realized someone walked off with one of mine. Yeah. People don't walk off of my pens. Any of y'all who have been in my classes know, if I pass out a pen, I get that back before you leave. Like when we're doing lab paperwork, someone needs a pen, here you go. Don't walk out that back door without that pen being back in my hand. Like, I'm not joking about that. Those pens are generally very important to me. I want to start a commonplace journal this year. Do it. I don't journalize. I don't do journals. When I go, they're the only stories that are left are the stories people tell with me, and hopefully those get better as the legends grow. Glass pens are great for inking. Yeah, glass pens are fun, and I have gotten some inks and I've gotten some metallic powders to make my own metallic inks that are great for glass pens like that. So. There's so much trash that you can do when you start getting into pens. Strongly recommend that if you get bit by the bug for pens, eBay is your best friend. So I don't think you can see it, but again, just off camera back there, I've probably got close to $700 worth of ink for my fountain pens. And I can tell you, I did not pay anywhere near that amount of money. Like, I've got 4 bottles of $100-something each of some Dutch ink, P.W. Ackerman. Extremely expensive, extremely good inks. Some dude was dumping all his inks on eBay for like $70. There was like 3 or 4 boxes of that and a bunch of other stuff. And I absolutely just said, here's your $70, man. And one of my favorite purple is P.W. Ackerman. You get that on anything, throw it away. It's done. You've killed it. Like, that ink is complete garbage when it touches something. Another great ink is Noodler's Eternal Darkness. That's a jet black ink that's museum quality, doesn't fade in UV, nothing. It's my favorite black ink to use. Like, oh, dude, just goes, again, talk for hours on pens. And Goulet does pen ink samples, which is a great way to test whether or not you like it. So back in the day, one of the reasons why I liked Goulet is they actually had like an ink of the month where you would get like 5 samples every month. They discontinued that. I was so pissed. But let's say for the sake of argument, you want to try Noodler's Liberty Elysium, 2 milliliters. 2 milliliter of ink is enough ink for you to write for probably a couple of months, depending on how often you're going to use that pen. Which, if you get a fountain pen, you better use it, because that's how you destroy the pen, is you just don't write with it. The ink dries up, and then it gucks it up, and you've got to try to scrub it out and go crazy with solvents. Don't want to do that. So I actually have probably close to 200 samples of inks, because that's how I buy my inks. If there's something that I like, I'll buy it as a sample. I'll test it in the pens I want to write with, and then if it's good, great. If it's trash, I'm out $2. I don't have to care. I'll give it to somebody else, or I'll just pour it down the drain. That's how I discovered denim. Is I liked denim so much, I bought an actual bottle of it. Here's a good example of a metallic ink. You can see it's got particulate in there. Make sure you buy a pen that actually uses that, because you don't want to try to put that in a standard fountain pen. You probably trash it. Noodler's is a great ink brand. They're Gettysburg, or I forget. I think it's like Massachusetts 56th or something like that. Is a beautiful gray brown or gray blue. But these folks have all sorts of stuff. Pilot. I got a bottle of Pilot up there. They have a beautiful teal. Great stuff. So I'm done like selling Goulet pens to y'all. It's that's just one of those things over the years that when I get the bite, I get back into it like really hardcore, and then I get off of it because I realize just how stupid I'm being, like buying stuff. Let's go back to this. Drag the chat over. I don't want the chat in the dock. I want it here. I have an Aaron Chandran daily planner. Yeah, I don't do daily planners anymore. That's why I got the Google Pixel. All the stuff goes on the phone. I am telling you that if I did not have an electronic calendar, I couldn't function anymore. Like, I have to have that calendar in Google, in Teams. In fact, these days I'm getting more pissed because some stuff falls into Google, some stuff falls into Teams, and they don't like talk to each other. So I've made it a point to make sure everything is in Teams, because I just have so much going on that I can't live out of a paper planner. I just can't do it. Disadvantage, I can't do stickers. Like that's the disadvantage. I can't do stickers on the planner like some of y'all can. I like pens and stationery. They're cutesy kawaii. Yeah, I got people, like my students used to buy me all sorts of kawaii crap. Like if it had to do with unicorns or llamas, it's dumb. I know some of you've come on like late to the game. Look at some of my old live streams when I was in Miami. Like all the plushy crap that would be on my bookcase, all the animatronics, the twerking llama. Yeah, you heard that right, twerking llama. Dude, people buy me that stuff, and I love it. Like, I love animatronics. I was walking through Walmart yesterday. We're getting a really cold Arctic blast through Texas, most of the U.S., but we're gonna get stuck pretty good here in Texas, northern Texas. And during the opportunity, I walked through the Valentine's aisle looking for any animatronics. So I wrote my first pen. Goulet's got a very nice pen wash. If you don't know how to make your own, theirs is very good. Great way to unclog it. Let it soak in their pen wash. For the most part, it doesn't react with most of the pens, so you don't have to worry about discoloring the celluloid or something like that. It's a very mild one. So, soaking in pen wash is a good way to get something working, but yeah, there are some that you're just going to have to disassemble. And there are people that do that, and a great place to find them, again, are pen expos. Go to the pen conventions and see what's out there, see how they feel in your hand. If the pen does not feel right in your hand, it's not worth the money no matter how much it is, unless you're buying it as an investment. My buddy Fernando taught me a lot of stuff, and Fernando, being a cardiologist, has a much larger toy fund than I do at the moment, or likely ever will. And one day he was having a holiday party at his house, and he asked me a question. Do you know what a $35,000 bottle of wine tastes like? And I said, no, Fernando, I don't. What does it taste like? And he goes, wine. And very important lesson that, yeah, it just tastes like wine. And some of the best wines I've ever had are stuff that he recommended because, I mean, he went deep into wines. Like, that became his passion. And I'm pretty hardcore when I get a hobby. Fernando makes me look like level 1 noob. Like, Fernando, he's boss level 99 god game when it comes to his hobbies. And I absolutely agree. And some of his favorite wines are bottles that are less than $20, some less than 15. And these are the ones I still recommend to people. Seven Daughters Moscato being one of them, is one of the best Moscatos I've ever had. And, he finds these things, he tries them, and, I trust him on it. He has yet to lead me astray on a wine. Let's see. Let's catch up. Daryl says, digital calendars and notes so ADHD friendly. I have to have, yeah. The ADHD for me is if that starts getting triggered. That's why I have different apps on my phone, and that becomes my fidget spinner. Electronic calendar's nice, but when the phone dies during the day, the charging cable. Nope. I can tell you, I can absolutely promise you, my phone's never run out of battery juice, and I am never without of cable. If I pick up my my backpack, I got cables and extra batteries. If I grab my little man purse, that's got a battery in there along with charging cables. I am never anywhere without a charging cable and a backup battery. So again, that's just me. That's like my everyday carry. I always have that stuff with me. When I was in Japan, they sold pens at Wood's dollar store that were higher quality than some of the name brand stuff here. Oh, absolutely. Like, absolutely. When Montblanc says, oh, this is precious resin, it's plastic. It's a very special plastic that feels very nice in your hands, but it's still plastic. Don't delude yourselves. You're paying $600 for a plastic pen. What makes the pen really nice is the other stuff that's under the plastic. That's the difference between a Montblanc and a Jinhao. So if you get a Jinhao, so here's the fun part about Jinhao. Jinhao rips off Montblanc 100% of the time. Like, just absolutely rips them off. So if you say, hey, I'd like to get a Montblanc 149, get yourself a Jinhao 149 or a 163 or whatever, because it's the same damn pen in size. Their 149 is heavier than a Montblanc 149 because they're using basically garbage metal to be the base of it. So it's a very heavy pen, but it feels nice in your hand. I'll pull up the Jinhao 149. I think, honestly, if you want a starter fountain pen, the Jinhao 149 is one you can't go wrong with, at all. Here you go. Images, transition, do it. Here you are. And here, thank you, Reddit. They're virtually the same pen. The Montblanc's on the top. It looks like the Jinhao's on the bottom. And I can tell you that the Jinhao is going to weigh more. The Jinhao is $10. The Jinhao is $10. And I probably have 8 of them. I have one in every color to match whatever outfit I'm wearing. And they write phenomenal. They can use just about any damn ink. And if you gunk it up, you throw it away. It's $10. You don't have to care. So it's a great way to say, hey, do I even want to use a fountain pen? $10 investment. You can buy them from Goulet. At the same time, buy yourself 5 samples. So for less than $30 with shipping, you're getting the 149, 5 ink samples. You're good. You've started your pen journey for less than $30. And you can beat the hell out of that pen. It will get discolored. The paint on the top will scrape right the hell off. I mean, it is trash, $10 Chinese mass-produced garbage. But it will absolutely outlive you and your kids. Turkey is so cute. Do you like Halloween? Oh, I have animatronics for everything. St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, I love little animatronic stuff. The one that I have that I got to put on the shelf ASAP was from 1984. It's the first one I ever got. It's a Chihuahua that sings Feliz Navidad. He still works. The day that thing breaks, I'm going to have a breakdown. I found two things. I found that Chihuahua, like, 7 years ago or 8 years ago. And then when I went back to my dad's house over the Christmas break, I managed to find one of my earliest toys. There was, everyone knows about pound puppies, right? That was a big rage back in the 80s, was these damn, like, plush dolls. Well, there was a knockoff version called the Cuddle Puppy. I found mine, a little itty-bitty pint-sized one. And I could not believe I found that damn thing. And I bought it when I was a kid because I felt bad that no one was going to buy it because it was missing its tail, right? It was a broken toy. So I got it for like 99 cents. Like, it was nothing. I found it. He's in my bedroom right now. He sits on my shelf next to my jewelry, like next to my expensive watches. That thing, I could not believe I found it. I have had that toy literally over 40-something years. It is absolutely worthless. But to me, it's like, I couldn't believe this damn thing still existed. Like, I thought for sure this thing got tossed at some point. I love that there is a convention for everything. Yeah, literally there is. Literally there is. I've only ever gone to anime conventions, reptile conventions. Reptile conventions are fun. I've been to one of those. That and arachnids. Ren fairs. I stopped going to Ren fairs. They're fun. They're okay. But that's not... I don't know, man. The only reason why I would go to a Ren fair is to see Arthur Greenleaf Holmes. He's... if you're lucky enough to get a Ren fair and he's doing his inappropriate poetry, or if you want to buy like a live stream ticket because he's doing stuff in New York off Broadway right now, honest to God, the guy's one of the funniest and most talented damn people ever. He is such a riot. I love his stage shows. He is literally the only reason why I even go to Renfest. Back when I lived in Broward County, like when I had some heart issues, I went to Ren Fair because I wanted to go see him. Like, I love his show. I love his show. I bought all his books. I think he's got another one coming out I got to get. The midday death of my phone is a problem? Yeah, no. If my phone starts having issues like that, it's time for me to upgrade my phone. So I'll use my phone for like 5 years before the battery dies, and then that's my clue I have to get a new phone. But I live off my electronic planners these days. You said man purse. Yep. Professor Davis wore my pink heart-shaped little purse with little shame. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I got one from, who is it that's got the dachshund? I don't think it's Donna Karen. I forget who it is. But I got one of their holiday bags. Absolutely wear it without shame. My regular man purse is a Coach side body. They had one in like a red tartan. And I was like, yep, that's it. It was on the 70% rack at a Coach outlet store. And I'm like, yeah, I'll pay $129 for a man purse that's Coach. Like, I won't pay full price for a Coach, literal anything, but I'll absolutely pay like, $100 for a Coach product if it's on the 70% off wall. Yeah, Darla, if you like a heavy pen, you'll like a Jinhao 149. Like that, unless they've changed it, that is a heavy pen, like very heavy. One of my students, Kerzi, mentioned that her uncle sang and wrote Feliz Navidad. Dude, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. If I had pound puppies, they actually brought them. Yes, they did. I've seen them at the stores, but it's not the same, dude. Like, I don't have any nostalgia for pound puppies at all. Just the fact that I found my cuddle puppy was like the bomb diggity. All right, I'm going to start closing out some of these windows. All right, folks. 8:44. Thanks for sharing the time. I'm staying here a little bit longer than I thought I would. My twin brother has a Coach side body bag too, but it's black and gray. I've seen that one. My problem is I don't like wearing people's brand bullshit, which is odd because the jacket I'm wearing right now says Michael Kors like down my left arm in big black letters. But, being a big dude, finding anything that fits me, especially like jackets and whatnot, I'll take what I can find. But with like my Coach stuff, I don't mind if there's like a Coach symbol. They got their little metal badge or something. But if the entire front of it's nothing but like the Coach C, I ain't buying it. I don't like it. I won't do it. I'm just like that. I don't like selling people shit. Like, whatever. All right, folks, I'm going to call this one quits. I'm willing to bet that I'll do another one of these in February, probably second or third week again. Saw that they were bringing back Care Bears. Yes, they did bring back Care Bears. I never owned a Care Bear. I never owned a Care Bear. I watched the show, but I never owned a Care Bear. I think someone got me a keychain or something of like some adult version of a Care Bear. I forget what the hell it was. Like, I don't even know where the hell it is. I probably lost it in the move. But it was like something they got from like an anime convention or something like that. I saw those. I super for the vintage Care Bears, but I love what they brought them back. Dude, people, so, again, businesses aren't stupid. They know that Gen X, millennials, etc., we have a heavy hit for nostalgia. And they're not trying to sell them to kids. They're trying to sell them to us so that we give our kid or whoever, that fix. Like, they're smart about this. Like, they're really smart about this. And I absolutely will buy some nostalgia thing just so I can get, like, the dopamine fix from it. You buy your first Care Bear? Yeah, good luck with that. I'll buy my first Care Bear before you do. Promise you that. All right, folks, everyone take care. I will see you next live stream. And if any of y'all ever want a game or something, you can probably hunt me down on Xbox Live. That's what I'm usually on. Gamer tag is Fuster Clucked. Yes, you heard that right. Y'all take care. See you next one.